go ahead as soon as I hit this last button. Take it away.
Happy New Year. It is at last the end of 2020, and we blessed it goodbye. We closed the door behind it, and we let all those lessons and those experiences in the past. I do these calls every year to sort of welcome in the new year, give people an opportunity of asking questions. And of course, your questions allow me to dig deeper into what's going on. So I enjoy it as well and learn a lot from the experience. As I played with the energy for 2021, it was like, oh, hell no. I don't want to go there. I don't want to play with that. It just sounds a lot more energetic challenge. So as I talk about things, I'm going to also be talking about what you can do to negate some of the extremes and usher in a more steady year. We're entering into a true time of chaos, of challenge, and as spiritual light workers, we want to be able to manifest the year of our dreams. With that said, I'm Heather Harder. I've been playing in the spiritual world for about 30 plus years. I have been a university professor for, again, 25, 30 years. So I've got this academic world, which is based on science and fact and primary source documentation. And then I've got this woo-woo world where I get spiritual insights that don't make sense and I have to interpret them. I have written, I think at this point, I've published 6 books on various spiritual topics. And so I have sort of a spiritual credential as well as a physical world credential. And I think that's very important because so many people get lost in the spirituality, but it's not about getting lost in the spirituality. It's using that awareness, that mindfulness, that intuitive ability to anchor and live more successfully in your physical world. We're supposed to be here to experience joy and the creative process as we manifest our world. And sometimes we lose that and we get lost in this woo world of, ooh, I can just think the right thoughts and the world comes to me. Yay, the law of attraction. And unfortunately, it's not the way it works. Stacy and I gather every Thursday night at 6 o'clock at the same Zoom number and do a question and answer conversation about living consciously during these great times of change on the planet. And that will be even more important this year. They're free, there's no charge. And as long as we're not booted off all of the sites, will keep going. It gets more and more challenging. That may become a necessity because we've already been booted off Facebook. We are not able to broadcast on Facebook anymore. So we'll see what the world brings. But one of the big mantras for this year is patience and flexibility. Write that down. Patience and flexibility. If you have an issue with patience, better start practicing, and flexibility. If you like things your way, then better start practicing because this is going to be a year that really asks you to step up and activate your patience and your flexibility. I welcome all of you here. It's delightful to see all of you, and I do see all of you, so don't pick your nose or do anything personal because I can see you. And Stacy, are there any questions to begin with? And if any of you have questions to begin with before I begin my spiel.
I've already answered, which is what is the Zoom code? And
okay.
In case you're watching from the ethers, our Zoom is 428-733-218. And that is the same Zoom we use to do every Thursday as well. And welcome,
and if you'll
wherever
also,
you are, yes.
And if you'll also put that in the chat so people can write that down, and please share it with anyone who you think may benefit from our conversation. With that, let's get started. One of the questions that I often get every year, so I'll just start with, is how do I do what I do? And I will begin by saying, I don't know. I'm just open, and the universe does different things through me and to me. So sometimes I get downloaded. I just get a glump of information and a knowing that I know to be truth. Sometimes I'm led to people and things that will give me a chunk of what I need. I am able to connect with the dead and consciously communicate with people in other dimensions. So sometimes I'm given that. In fact, I have a little message we're going to start with. And so different things come in different ways, and there's no pattern. My commitment, and I haven't studied anyone or taken any classes or become certified in anything. I just take and offer myself a service, and I am open to what I receive, and I trust it. That trust is, I think, what separates me from many, many other people. I've always felt very close to the divine. It's not like God is somewhere out in the corner. God is a part of everything I do, and I trust that connection. And so if you want to access what I access, then just trust and be open and ask for protection, guidance, and truth, which we start with in every session. So we ask for guidance, protection, and truth so that one, you can recognize and integrate truth. And this is going to be a year we get lots of humding in truth that's going to shock you to your core. So it's really important that you're comfortable receiving truth and recognizing it. And you usually recognize truth in your physical structure. It feels in your heart or your gut or whatever. The mind is the trickster. The Native Americans call the mind the coyote. But this is a year for truth. And what that requires being very attuned to your physical well-beings. Again, card 2. If you have questions and or comments, please feel free to post them in the chat, post them online. Stacy will jump in and interrupt us when there's something that is needed to add. This is meant to be interactive. The question you may have may be something that is also bothering 3 or 4 other people. So please don't be shy. We're on no time frame. I only state a beginning time. I never state an ending time. You can leave when you want, get up and go to the bathroom when you want, take care of your body needs. And at the very end of this call, I will do an individual message for the 2021 for anyone who wants it. I never inflict myself on other people, but I do make the offer. So with that said, it's really important to know that as I look into the future, as I'm given this information, at best, it's probable futures. We are here to co-create the reality in the earth so that I can say X is going to happen in February, but it can be completely different because we are here co-creating. And it's very important that if you don't like what's being said, you have the power to help mitigate it. You have the power to help alter, change it. So it's very important that you recognize and not accept this as written in stone, but as a probable future. This is what the energy states now based on what's happened in the past. In this moment, we're creating what's going to be happening in the future. So it's really important that you keep that in mind, that this is at best probable futures, and that collectively we can make it all much better, much easier. We create a reality. The future is not fixed, and we can change it. And so it's really important that we remember to be proactive. And that's why we're here. We're not here to observe this transformation. We're here to guide it, to be a part of it. That's really, really, really important. Every once in a while, I'm just going to take a breath because I tend not to breathe while I'm doing it. And so this is a breath time. And then while I'm doing, and now, ta-da! Oftentimes I'm asked, what can we do? How do we create the future? And it's so easy. If you're doing things hard, if you're forcing or making things difficult, you're not helping. You're actually making it worse. So just remember the process that you use for daydreaming, for wishful thinking, for how you'd like to see the future be, that is the process of creating it. So as we play, just literally imagine living in the world that you want, visualizing your abundance and your serenity and your peace and your calm. Those are the ways. that we literally collectively and individually create our future. And with that individual collective mindset, it's really important that you recognize this year more than ever, you'll all be having different experiences. Some may celebrate and go, oh, yay, wonderful. And others may go, oh, boo, this is awful. I don't want this. It'll be what it'll be. And if you imagine a map with like those circles on it, like you're here and this is where you want to go, and there's little circles, each one of those circles can be a completely different experience. So person A is in this circle and they're having beautiful weather and they're in the St. Croix and enjoying the nature and having a life of serenity. And this person here is living in downtown Chicago and they're going through all kinds of riots and storms and, you know, everything happening and going, oh my gosh, why am I in this mess? That you all will be having your own unique experience. And that's the important part, that you're each where you need to be for your greatest good and the greatest good of the planet. As light workers, you're not here just for your greatest good. You've also made a commitment for the greatest good of this planet. So you may be put someplace where you had no intentions of being. Right, Lorna? You may find yourself in situations that you are going, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was going to happen. But you have to trust every minute, no matter what your world is, that this is divinely perfect for you for now. And that you begin the process for moving into a new way. You're going to be asked this year to use your creative problem solving more than ever. So just begin to recognize this is a year where you're going to get to stretch your wings and really fly through your exalted state. It's not about being victim. It's not about being locked in. It's about emerging into your full power. Really important to stay centered. On the calls Thursday, we always sort of show you how to stay centered. But anytime you set the intention to be centered, you are. So it's just really important. Stay grounded. Again, it's going to be easy to get lost in the energy because the energy is going to be very intense this year. And if you're one of those sensitive people and you go, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so agitated, I'm feeling so angry, you're going to take that energy in and then you're going to magnify it and amplify it. So it's really important that whenever you start feeling anything that isn't comfortable, that you go back to center, you go back to your anchoring and your groundedness, and you bring in the energy that you want to experience. You're going to have lots and lots of opportunities to soak in stuff that you don't want, like marinating in vinegar when vinegar is not what you want. So you have to be mindful, you be conscious, and as much time in nature as you can be, as much time in centeredness and mindfulness, and be very aware of how you're feeling, and is this how you want to feel. Mental health is going to be huge this year. In according to what I've read, this year in Japan alone, there was more suicides than there were COVID deaths. And that's, you know, kind of amazing. And it's going to increase and grow for this coming year. So whatever you do to get your stability for mental health is going to be really important. Whether it's go out and lay in the grass, whether it's go lay on the beach, whether it's go kiss a houseplant, pet your dog, whatever you need to do to bring in that nature energy will help you ground and stabilize. If you find yourself going up and down emotionally and mentally, like a manic depressant, stop yourself, literally physically stop yourself and say, this isn't me. I don't choose this. I choose peace or serenity or whatever, and then do the steps. It isn't about 45 minutes of meditation. You can do it in 30 seconds if you're mindful, if you're present. I've said many, 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 many times that my bathroom time is my sacred space. I go to the bathroom, I have to sit down for a minute anyway, so I release what doesn't serve me, I call in what does, I restabilize my energy. If I'm in an energetic space that I'm not happy with, I shift it in the moment. I use that. I don't carve out 45 minutes for meditation. My life, even during COVID days, it was too busy for that. So don't believe what some people make you believe unless you're spending 45 minutes in these mantras and these things that you can't get there from here. It's not so. Spirituality is instant, it's intentional, and it's got to be freely chosen. And you can do that anywhere, anytime. Okay, this is where I take a breath. If you have a question, please enter it. And okay, then going on, as I said, this year is a very unstable year. As I play with the energy, it's like a top gone wild. And this is the first time I've ever experienced that. Usually I say it's like a bullet train, or it's like a boat, or it's like a roller coaster. This energy this year is so all over the place that I even feel kind of inauthentic even trying to define it, because it's like one of those tops that's out of control, that's bashing into the walls, and it's just all over the place. So it's really important that you be stable if the world around you isn't stable. And after you get off this call, spending 5 minutes or so just listing the things that help stabilize you. What do you do to become stable, to become grounded, become centered? It's really important that you don't resist the energy. Resistance empowers it and multiplies it. We don't want to resist. We want to be open. We want to accept it. We want to be patient. We want to be present. And mostly we want to be intentional. What is it you want? If this doesn't feel comfortable, what energy do you wish to have? And all of your creations happen in your mind. Your mind is the creator force. It's important that this year you have control of your mind so that your mind doesn't generate more mental instability, but your mind supports that life conditions that you choose to live. And so if you haven't done any mind mastery activities, we'll be offering that class again in sometime in the future. So feel free to join the class. It isn't hard. It's just intentional activity. Jennifer, you took Mind Mastery, didn't you?
Yes, I loved
Okay.
the master class. It was unlike anybody else's class, and it really helped you to stay grounded, centered, and keep your mind stable.
Yeah.
I loved it.
For those who are new to me, know that I'm sort of the quick and easy spirituality. I don't believe that there has to be rituals, although they can be very helpful if you're drawn to them, especially if you spend lifetimes in religious orders. You're going to want to do those rituals, but I don't believe that they're necessary. So I do the quick and easy, down and dirty. Let's get it done. If I'm all powerful, I don't need to spend 45 minutes working at this. I just do it and it's done. So when we offer that, you may want to join. And if you're new to our group and you would like to be on our mailing list, please feel free to enter you can do it in the private or in the chat, or send it to me privately at heather@heatherharder.com. But send your email and we'll get you on our mailing list. And the energy, usually I just do the 2021 experience because that's the year I'm looking at. But I kept looking for, when does this end? When does this kind of instability slack up? And unfortunately, this is not, as I've said many times, this is not a sprint. This is a long term. So we're looking at this advice as far as stabilizing, being able to ground yourself, being able to claim the energy that you desire will last 3 to 5 years at least. And I just quit looking at after 5 years. But this is the transformation. This is the turning point of this planet. And it is the reason why all of you came. So don't be impatient. Don't think it's a mistake. It's what you signed up for. Yay. Aren't you glad? And I say it's sort of like when you join the army. You may join the army for one reason, but when you're there, you don't get to choose what to wear and when you get up and what you eat or what you do during the day. You've signed up for the army, so therefore you're on for the ride. And that's sort of what the light workers are too. You may have envisioned something else when you signed up to be a light worker, and light workers are here to anchor the light to this planet, to bring heaven to earth. It's our job. And so, but you're here now, and so just stop whining and do it. This year, the earth itself will be exceedingly important. And I'm getting chills as I say that. The physical earth is important. So anything you can do to assist the earth energy is wonderful. Plant a tree. In fact, if you will be super, super wonderful, plant a tree every month. Doesn't matter the size or the kind, but just plant a tree that anchors the earth energy and again feeds the ground with this other realm energy. Compost. Take your kitchen scraps and bury them and make a hole in your yard or in a pot in the yard. If you don't have a land on your balcony, you can compost, but just do anything to enrich the soil. Appreciation puts that energy into things. So go to the park and don't bury your scraps at the park. They don't like that. But go to the park and just send lots of appreciation into the plants and admire them and really honor the plants. Charlene does a lovely experience in St. Croix, which I've been blessed to experience, but it's what she calls her some kind of bath. And she has flower petals in the water and she pours it over people during this bathing ritual on the beach in St. Croix, but it's all honoring the water, honoring the beach, honoring the flowers, honoring all of those things. And so anything you can do to honor the earth really helps stabilize the energy, because it's all going to be about earth this year. Earthquakes like crazy, lots and lots of shakeups. And the vision I got was like when you've got a wild horse and a rider gets on it and the horse bucks all over the place trying to get rid of this rider. It's sort of what planet Earth is going to be doing with the shakeups. Everything is being shook up this year. And so you're going to see lots of earthquakes, lots of things that impact the soil, impact the ground. So whatever you can do to connect with that, to enhance it, to vibratorily assist it, the better off we'll all be. This is a year, as I said, this is going to be a very chaotic year, is one way of describing it. We can describe it lots of different ways. I'm doing my best to do it non-judgmentally, but this is going to be the year of the unexpected. If you think that this is going to happen this way, it's not going to. If you think it's going to happen that way, it's not going to. Just be prepared and be open for the unexpected, because it's going to be a year like no other. In fact, it's also a year where pulling any creative aspect out of your essence is literally empowering that soul spirit essence into manifestation. So the more creative activities you do, the more you bring your spiritual self to the front. And so creative writing, dancing, singing, playing in the mud, whatever you want to do or feel the need to do that's creative in nature, yay rah, it really helps the energy of the planet. And that's really what we're here for. I do recommend that all of you get a journal and record your happenings this year. Imagine how we would perceive the Holocaust if we didn't have Anne Frank's diary. To her, it was what was going on, but she recorded the everyday events of her life during a very important time in history. Although she didn't realize what she was doing, she really was leaving a marker for the world. And each of you, in keeping your journal, this year, we're going, in sometime in the future, we're going to look back at this period as one of the greatest change periods on the planet. And the more you have specifics, what happened to you, what you did, how you did it, why you did it, how you felt while you were doing it, all those journal type entries will be extremely significant historically for you and the family. They also will help you remember it in a tangible way, because there'll become a time of, I must be dreaming. This can't be happening. This is not real. Every belief you have is going to be challenged this year. So the more you, we talked last night about authenticity, about being real to yourself and to the world, standing up and being who you are, good, bad, or indifferent, just being authentic is extremely important. And so with this year, being authentic is another grounding agent. No pretending, but being authentic. Then what will happen is when you look back and read at this, it's going to go, oh yeah, that really did happen. I can't believe this was going on, because this is going to be such an unusual year. I'm 72. Yay, thank you. I'm still healthy and strong. And I look back over the years that I've experienced so far, and I went through the 60s, and I wasn't one of the ones doing drugs. They say if you can remember the 60s, you weren't a part of them. I remember watching the 60s and the drugs and all those kinds of things, but I didn't do them. I can look back and talk firsthand about my experiences. This period is going to be even stronger. It's even going to be more significant. It's even going to be more profound in the long term. So do record your journal for your own sanity, as well as, because if you write it down in the moment, you know what happened. But in 3 months, you go, was I imagining that? Did it really happen? Could that have been? So again, record it for sanity's sake. Mental health this year is going to be exceedingly important. This year, you're also going to find that nothing is as it seems. We've gotten a little bit about this year, but it's going to become even more apparent during 2021. Nothing is as it seems, and everything is going to be challenged. And the more you can hold on to your authenticity, your integrity, the better. Things are going to come out that are truth, that are going to seem so far out that you think, oh, this can't be. This just can't be. And so again, the more stabilized you are, the more you're going to be able to integrate these extremes. If you've ever had a splinter that infected and got sore, in order for it to heal, you've got to pull that splinter out. And sometimes a lot of ugly stuff comes out with it. This year, we're going to have a lot of ugly stuff being exposed. Corruption, we're seeing that through the election process now, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to see the corruption from leaders, from organizations, from people, and it's going to be very important that you accept it, you recognize it, you love them for the journey they've been on, but not to judge it. If you judge it, energetically, you put yourself in that loop and you have to experience it. So you don't want to judge what's coming out. You just want to be present. You just want to recognize. You just want to bless them for their experience and be grateful it wasn't part of your experience. So your beliefs are going to be challenged. Your money is going to be challenged. Your relationships are going to be challenged. Physically, you're going to be challenged because of this energy. If you fight it, if you resist it, it's going to accelerate your physical breakdown. So you want to, again, just stay in that mode. You might have heard that, when drunks have accidents, one of the reasons they're not often as hurt as the people they have accidents with is because they're so limber and they just flow with the strange movement of the vehicle. And so that's sort of your model this year. Just be open to this crazy world, and you're not going to resist it or fight it. When you resist it, I remember one time I hit a sign. I wasn't supposed to hit the sign, but I live in the Chicago area and I slid on the ice and I put my hand up to brace myself while I was hitting the sign, and I just shattered my wrist and my arm because I resisted. Had I not resisted it, I probably wouldn't have had any injury. And so that's a good model for this year. Just don't resist it. Don't resist the corruption. Don't resist the situations, the people who participated in ugly experiences, because it's going to come out. It's going to come out and more as we go along. But this year is we're going to get lots more of it. We got some this past year. We became aware of lots of things we didn't really want to become aware of, but this year it's going to be even more so. So don't resist. Just love them, send them love energetically. Unconditional loving does not mean that you accept or approve of their activity. It just means that you want to put an end to that energy that they've created by surrounding it with love. All right. I'm going to take a pause again, and anybody have questions or comments?
So what I'm hearing is be ready for everything.
Be ready for anything. I'm putting out my new cards, so now
I feel like part of this year's also been doing that, getting you ready for really you to face everything in your own integrity, in your own authenticity. I feel
and I think that's the key, getting you ready. 2020 got you ready for 2021. So that gives you a sort of hint of what's happening. And Stacy, I'm shuffling my cards, so if there's any questions.
Okay, you can unmute yourself now if you want to ask a question. I think Christine.
Hi. Happy New Year.
Thank you, and thank you for the lovely message. Christina texted me, and she texts very long texts at midnight, telling how much she appreciated me, which I thought was so very kind. Christina, thank you. It's a great way to welcome in the new year.
Long messages coming in. That's how I roll.
Okay, so what's your question?
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you for reminding us to journal, because during the quarantine, it was the first one, in the beginning, it was so
that's a way of putting it. The first quarantine versus the second quarantine versus, right. Yes.
To flatten the curve, the 2 weeks flatten the curve that turned into, the many months. I remember I was going through so many changes, and the whole thing was devastating in so many ways. There were so many things going on and I remember saying, like, I should be journaling this. This is history, but I didn't. But now that I'm clear and I understand, what's really going on. Well, I don't know everything that's going on, but now that I understand what this is, it's so important, because yes, these journals, someone will eventually find them, eventually they will be out there. And then this is our history. It's just very important. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's also, when you're journaling, because of the creative nature of it, you're pulling from that soul energy, and that will empower you. And this year, again, it's going to be very important to balance body, mind, and spirit. So our spiritual core self is the authentic self, is the real self. And as we do those creative activities, we pull that into alignment with mind and body. In the past, we have been much more mentally driven, and then we're moving into physical driven. But the goal is to be in harmony with body, mind, and spirit. But we have to activate, we have to pull much more spiritual energy forward in order to be in that alignment. But thank you.
Thank you.
One of the visuals I'm seeing is, I don't even know how to, because there's a comment of like, ugh, there is more to come this year. Trying not to let that be disappointing.
I got lots more cards.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been feeling is, yes, we've been tested. Think of it as like, and I'm going to say Disney character because we all can relate. It's like the princess coming, or Cinderella, right? In order for her to truly go into that beautiful love that she is, right? And to see her beauty, it's like going through the years of the shit, I'm going to say that, bless it, to be able to really genuinely step into the awe beauty of who she is. And I feel in so many ways that this is really preparing us for that inner goddess, the inner godlet, the the difference between that haggard, beaten up person versus the person who can really genuinely come from appreciation, from love, from the truth and integrity. And she didn't throw her sisters under the bus in that process. She just stayed in who she was. And I think that's a really good place, is to come back to you, that anything's happening for you, right? Not to you. But if we can kind of come back in and go into our inner goddess, our inner connection, that's where we're gonna really shine. And we are being tested to be able to stand in our truth, to be radiating from a place of love, not judgment, not attachment, not things, but literally a true surrender. And so, yes.
For some people, when they go in, they're going to discover their inner goddess. And we all have images that looks like. Some people are going to go in and find their inner bitch. And that is also divinely perfect. It's about being real with wherever you are. We need those people who are able to attack and look at things in a critical way. And so whatever you find on the inside, don't judge, whether it's your inner goddess, or inner bitch. It's still divinely perfect. And it's very important to remember that all of this is divine plan. All of this is exactly what we have to walk through in order to create the world we want. And so nothing is by mistake. Nothing is a terrible disaster. Nothing is someone's fault. It's all divine plan. And the more we can trust the divine plan and be open to what our role in that is, today, what do I feel like doing? And just do that spontaneous moment, then you are fulfilling your role in divine plan. Divine plan is perfect. It always is. And whatever you feel like doing, whether it's taking a nap or going and calling a friend or writing an email at midnight telling someone how important they are to you, do it. Just don't resist. Spirit always talks to us in the moment, and internally what we do with it is our choice. And it's very important to stay in touch with that. Generally, you don't get messages say, all right, in 3 months, I want you to start the school and do X, Y, and Z. It's always in the moment. And so be ready for that spontaneity, which is a good segue into Stacy has gotten guidance to offer a class. So you want to do a little plug right now as we get ready for the next?
Yes, sure. So starting in January, I'm going to do a 4-week mini course for women who are ready to step up and empower their inner feminine goddess. And it will teach a bunch of different things. But it's going to be some tantric principles. It's going to be spiritual principles, but it's just a 4-week mini course to really set and tune into the beginning of 2021, which I see as the beginning of the rest of our lives. And so it's a way to come together with the tribe, and literally, if you're feeling called to step more into the feminine, to step more into the surrender and the flow, and it's really more of an inner balance between your masculine and feminine. But it's going to kind of play with different things. So if you're feeling called to join, I would love to have you be a part of our 4-week mini course. And yeah, it was something that I've been being guided to keep stepping up and teaching. As if you're on Instagram, I do a lot of lives and just kind of touch base. And it's not by accident that I feel the things I have, and also I've done through the trainings I have. And I really find
and not even minimizing a lifetime of mentorship from your mother.
Oh, that's probably worth already.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if you're interested in that, then contact Stacy or leave a comment in the messages or whatever you want to do.
It's also on my website, and it's also on my Instagram page.
Okay. So thank you, Stacy. And the rest of you also may, those of you know me long term know that nothing I've done has ever been like I take a class and then I offer it. It's like I'm told by Spirit, do this. And it's like, I don't know how to do this. I didn't take that class in college. I don't know how to do that. And I just do it. And then I'm guided while I'm doing it and how to do it. And it's always turned out beautifully for me. And so it really is important. If you're feeling the need to do something, don't wait to become certified. Don't wait to become an authority. Don't wait to become an expert. follow your heart, and then you'll be given what you need as you're doing it. And I've been told, I mean, among the many things, to remove alien implants in people, to remove reptilian influences in people. I've been, when I never did private sessions, and I was told to offer private sessions when I was doing a workshop in New York. It's like, I don't know what to do in a private session, because I didn't have cards or stones or do anything that people did private sessions did. I said, just do it. So it's like, okay. And again, guided all the way. So trust, take action. You'll be shown how. You don't, because if you take a class, and we'll use Reiki as an example, if you take a class in Reiki and you go off and offer Reiki classes, you're offering the class that you were taught. You're perpetuating that one style of doing it. But energy work on the planet is evolving like crazy. So if you only do what you were taught to do, you will not let the process evolve. So it's very important that you trust. If you're getting something different, if you're being guided to do something, do it. And this year, again, one of my cards is about taking a risk. This is the year to take risks, because you're going to be asked to do things that, you know, that you would have never believed that you'd be doing. Any questions? Any, and then we'll start again.
I think that's a beautiful way, because first of all, when we're used to getting, you to me have a very easy, this is automatic and responsive. And I think for some of those,
Me?
You, it's just.
You're talking me?
Yes, you've been
Okay.
talking to Spirit God since you were 7. You have a very direct relationship. So I think for people, when they're looking at like, what does a message feel like, or what does a message come like? For me, it's like that little voice going off, like, you should be doing this, you should be doing this. And you know, deep inside of you, of it's you, but it's not really you talking. And so for me, I started hearing those voices late at night when I'm trying to sleep. And it's like, you didn't go on Instagram Live and talk today. You should be talking. You need to help people. Like, and I'm like, what is this coming from? So those are just some of the ways I started listening to doing what I'm doing. And I really feel right now, especially from the feminine, we've had so much suppression for thousands of years, but through our feminine is our power, and it's our sacred power. It is the creation. We can create a human force within this body. So for me, I want you to be able to tap in and be able to use your creative power force. And so that's when I was being guided. It comes in sometimes as little voices. And then once you're like, okay, well, let me think about this. And then all of a sudden it just starts writing in. It's like, you got this idea, this idea. So that's when she's saying, follow the flow. For those of you that are kind of newer to that flow, it's exactly that. You start hearing, for me, it's little messages, it's little internal knowings. And then as soon as you kind of tap into it and like listen to it or like write it down, like she says, it starts just flowing. And so for me, it's like, okay, this is something that I'm being guided to do. It's not just from my heart, but it has a natural flow. So if you're newer to receiving some of those messages of what you're doing, remember, you can always ask your guides to help show this, make this easy for me. You can play with that. What does it feel like to be guided? Can you show me what this sounds like or what this hears? And you could be from like, hey, you need to turn in this street. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm on this street. And then you go to this restaurant, and the next thing you know, you're meeting somebody. So it's just, those are the little ways that spirit talks to you, and it comes in different forms. But the more you listen to it, the louder and the clearer that becomes within.
Right, and I will also say that you all have been receiving messages all your life, because you cannot be on this planet and not be connected to all the higher forces that guide your life. It's the nature of this life. What happens is we don't trust it, we don't listen, we don't honor it. And so this is the time period where you need to start trusting your own inner guidance. You need to start taking action on the things that you are being guided to do. When you hear the voice, then you know the voice and you begin to trust the voice. So with that said, let's move on, because there's still so much about 2021. But Stacy, if there would get a question, feel free to interact. All right, first year of change. This is going to be a huge year of change. Countries are going to change. Alliances will change. leaders will change, beliefs will change, personal freedoms will change, so that everything is going to be shifting and changing this year. New experiences, you'll have lots of them, new friends, um, new feelings. Again, as this energy gets more intense in the planet, you're going to feel things and think, and we tend to want to not blame it, but attribute it to physical things around us. That it's really important to recognize that you are absorbing, every cell of your body is both an absorber and a sender of energy. And so as this energy becomes more intense, you'll take it on. In some cases, if you're around loving people and you're doing a meditation with a group of high-minded people, it's going to feel wonderful. But if you're not, it might not feel so wonderful. But just remember that you are in charge of how you're feeling and how you're interpreting and what you're taking in and out. Great year to remember your cosmic condom. For those people who may not have heard me talk about it, I just see it as a bubble of light I put around me, just like a condom, so that it keeps lesser energies away from me and allows only pure love to permeate my condom. You wear a condom when you're going to be with someone, not when you're by yourself, although it's never a bad thing to wear a condom. So energetically keep your cosmic condom in place, especially when you go out, or especially when you start feeling these awkward, unpleasant experiences. But just recognize that all of the changes will lead to progress. We just have to go through the ugly part. If you've ever been to Sedona, Arizona, and I love Sedona, Arizona, there's an airport hotel up on Airport Mesa. And I was staying there one time, and someone asked me which was the deep end. Well, this pool is unusual in that the shallow end is at both sides. The deep end is in the middle. And I said the deep end is in the middle. And it just profoundly hit me that that's sort of a mantra for life. The deep end is in the middle. We're in the deep end. We've lost the comforts of what was familiar and what we knew. We aren't yet at the shallow end of the new, whatever that new is. We're in the deep end, and now we're having to flounder and find our way through the deep end. So just trust that you will get through this, and it's all divinely perfect. And the ability that you have to keep yourself afloat, stable, happy, patient, flexible, will make this experience in the deep end easier and easier. Okay, so now let's get down and dirty. We're going to talk about Trump. Yay, Trump.
With that, I still see it. We're up there, top of the deep end. I just see Lady Gaga singing that song with that song, and I think that's a beautiful analogy. It does feel like we're
in the deep end.
Yeah.
And it's okay. So whatever you're feeling, just give yourself permission to feel it. Just know that you are ultimately responsible for what you're feeling. And other people will look at you as a model for how they contend with what's going on. So you may not think about yourself being an influencer, but you are. That every person who comes in contact with you energetically or visually or verbally is using you as an influence in how they can handle their life. So it's really important that you carry yourself in that authentic way. And if you're irritated, be irritated, own it. Don't pretend. If you're angry, recognize anger always covers hurt and sadness, but feel it. Don't bust a hole in the wall or punch someone in the nose, but feel that. Be authentic with where you are and what you're going through. Can we talk about Trump now?
Yeah.
Trump. And again, I would like to say this is how it's going to turn out, but the energy is not stable yet. It's still very much up in the air. Trump, as we all know, if you've been following things, actually won the election with votes. So Trump won the election. However, whether he takes office or not is still yet to be determined. We have ballots that go either way for January 6th. We have all kinds of things that are still happening. So it's still very undetermined whether or not Trump will take office. He definitely won the election but he may or may not take office. And I'm going to hold that he will take office, but it may or may not be in 2021. He may sit out for 4 years and then come back and run again in 2024. But Trump will definitely serve another term. And if he comes back for 2024, it may be for 2 terms. But Trump is not down and out. He is going to continue. His influence is going to continue to grow and grow and grow, so that even if he doesn't take office, that he will still be a major influence in the governmental affairs of this country and the world. And people will, in fact, he'll have more followings. The Trump we knew as of 2019 and before is a very different Trump than we will know in 2021. I think through this past year, he's been shocked and humbled by the amount of support he was given. In the early days, people didn't step up and show outward support for him because of the attacks they received. And so now enough people are stepping up and saying, I support Trump. I don't care what people say or do. And he's seeing this incredible outpouring of support that he never had before. And he's going to be a quieter, gentler Trump. He's not going to be as boastful, but he's going to become from a much more confident, much more integrated place. He's not going to be so knee-jerky as he was before, but he's still going to be very intense and very present. If he hasn't already started the process, he will have his own TV network, whether it's part of an existing network that he merges with, or whether he starts its own. But we're going to see media all over this world, and especially in the United States, begin to crumble, the traditional media. Whether you know it or not, all of our media outlets, every version is owned by like 6 families. And so we're going to see those empires begin to crumble and others begin to merge. We're seeing that some now, but that's going to be much, much more profound. And people who've been part of traditional media will begin to expose what they know about traditional media. So we're going to see a big, one of the many changes is the media, and we're going to have many more outlets for truth. And before Trump used the term fake news, I'd never heard of it and never thought about it, although I had stopped watching news and television in general about 5 years prior. And in my book, Perfect Power and Consciousness, I write about the news and the newsmakers who create the news. They don't report the news, and they shall fade from this planet. And that was written in the early 90s. Now we're seeing this take place, and 2021 is going to be one of those big changes that we experience. He's going to continue to, and if he doesn't take office, even more so, expose corruption, expose the lies, expose the deceit, expose, I think anyone who's watched anything about our election process is sorely disappointed. For those who know or didn't know, I was involved with politics in the from 1990 to 2000 and knew a lot of the corruption, but even I was shocked at the blatant nature of the interference we had in this election. I did not recognize it was so deep and so real. And even now, Atlanta, who's doing a re-election for some of their offices, are monitoring these machines that and seeing how they are online, even though they say they're not, changing numbers as they watch. And so a lot of changes are going to come out of this process. Whether or not Trump takes office, and I do personally hope that he does, but whether he does or doesn't take office, we're going to see a complete shift in our election process for the better. How it turns out, yet to be seen. But the more light and love you send to the processes, the more you are a part of molding a better tomorrow. If you know that in the chaos and the debris of what was is the best time to build the new. So don't just sit and go, oh my God, it's so terrible, this didn't happen or this happened. Just know that in this process, use your creative energy, use your creative thought, use your prayer, use your visualization to create the experience that you want on this planet, because you're
And-
here for that purpose.
Can I put one thought in?
Sure.
So if you are one of those people that has an emotional response to Trump and you don't like him or you do like him, just remember that's an opportunity for you to heal the aspects that are alive within you. He used to trigger my masculine wounds really big time as far as whatever.
Oh,
And
be
what-
real. When he won, she called me sobbing, "Oh, the world is going to come to an end. The world's so awful." And I just said, "Trust. There's a divine plan. You don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. We're just going to trust." So
And
now
I-
she's a Trump fan.
Yeah, well, but that's also a thing that if you do fight him personally, then say prayers for for God, for truth, for what's for the best and highest good of our country, what's for the integrity of our nation, what is going to keep our like pray for things that we can both be on the same page for. If you can't necessarily like him, you don't have to like him, but know that if you do hate him, ask yourself why. Because I do feel that we have been trained through media to hate him. And I think that it's very intentional. We've never done this from a presidency, I think, since like Lincoln, where the news has been against him. And that was because Lincoln was trying to end slavery and abolish it. So just know that it is not by accident he is where he is. If you do hate him, maybe find someone who is a Trump fan and supporter and ask them just a genuine, honest question and conversation. Look at some people who are like Charlie Kirk and just listen to some of the conversations that media will never
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to cut you off because this isn't a political commentary.
Okay.
Just if you just call on truth, ask to know truth, you'll know what you need to know. So just ask truth. Okay. Did we get any questions during that space? And my prayers for the outcome of this election is just the divine will be done. I don't know what divine will is. I know that I'm here to be a part of that. And so my call is for truth and for divine will to be done. I just posted something on my Facebook thing the other day asking for swift justice to all those who would interfere with humanity's free will or our election outcome. And so I have that right as well. And so swift justice can be whatever divine will decrees. All right. No questions, no anything? Okay. This is a great year to be very self-aware. This is almost like the period, this first part of this year is almost like the winter of our souls. It's, a hibernation. It's going within. It's figuring out who we are. It's being in that internal process and preparation for spring and growth. This year is going to be two very distinct years, with the first 6 months and the second 6 months, although they're all going to be chaotic and be open to whatever it brings. It's very important that you recognize your time for preparation, that there were many people who were upset about the COVID isolated home or whatever they called it period of time, but it caused a lot of us to unplug from a lot of the activities that we've done, even learn how to cook at home because now the restaurants weren't open. So it shifted a lot of things in our lives and it caused us growth. That's sort of what this next period is. And I'm told not to use the word COVID because we'll be blocked, but I'm going to use it. And if we're blocked, oh well, we'll ask the angels to protect it. But this COVID, all the hype about COVID now is fading because they can look at the numbers, they can see the things, they recognize it didn't do what it's doing. So now we're being given a whole nother spiel about this evolved, mutated COVID. So we got to anchor it home again. We got to do this and we got to do that. So we're going to give another round of the isolation, the breakdown of humanity, and the goal is really to unplug humanity from their relationships. It's very much an intentional act to cause us to break our ability. What's going to happen though, because oftentimes things backfire, when we come out of this, we're going to be much more tuned to each other. We're going to be much more aware of the relationships. We're going to be much more respectful of those relationships. And if you can imagine someone who lost their vision or their eyesight for 3 months and then suddenly got it back, they would be much more appreciative of just being able to see the world. And that's really going to be the long-term impact of this isolation, the masks, the other things that we've been asked to do, that it's really going to have a resounding opposite effect long-term. So just be at peace with it. Again, follow your heart, do what you need to do, but not to get too worried about it. It's a time of reinvention. It's a time of intentions. It's a control. And it won't be very long before humanity is beyond the control. Again, 3 to 5 years, but we're seeing the last vestiges of trying to control and manipulate humanity. The more you're authentic, the more you're in your power, the less able you are to be controlled. That we're going to see the humanity's phoenix rise out of the ashes. That's our destiny. So have fun this year. What is your way of playing? Again, play is choice, it's active engagement, and it's fun. This year you have to find your own play, and you have to get involved with your play. It's really important that you generate fun. Fun and joy is the energy that will take us through this, not the worry, fear, the other kinds of things. If anyone or anything is causing you to generate fear or worry or anything else of a lower nature, know that it doesn't serve you. Throw it in the trash. Just imagine that energy being garbage and throw it in the trash and shower yourself with joyful, playful energy. The more you do that, not only the better your life is going to be, but the more you help ease the transition. When we talk about flatten the curve from COVID, we have one meaning, but when you bring in joy and playful and you let your spirit soar, you're literally flattening the curve for the planet and causing it all to become much more balanced and harmonious. Stacy lives not too far from the beach there in California. And so she goes out in the evening and watches the sunset and she calls me and I get to watch it too through her. That's her place of joy, her place of connection. Find your own, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. We have a guy on the call who lives up in the woods in Wisconsin, and he goes out barefoot walking in the woods in the snow. That's his place of connection. But many people haven't discovered what their place of connection is. So this is your homework assignment. You have to find that place where your soul feels happy and satisfied, where you feel the joy and the happiness. So by all means, keep looking for it. If you don't know it, if you do know it, then make it a point to do it every day. When the energies come in and they're chaotic, I just imagine a child sitting in front of you with long hair and you're just brushing the hair and you're just going to smooth out the energy in whatever way that's the analogy I might use. You might use a different one, but just make sure that you're doing it in a way that literally brings you comfort and peace and joy, because you have the power to change. And if you don't, we're going to have a much uglier year. A lot of weather hardships, a lot of economic hardships, a lot of unemployment, a lot of natural disasters this year. The more you can love and light them, the less powerful they will be. Stacy, your reading, is that something for me or something for you?
Nope.
Okay, this year there's going to be a lot of, the focus is going to be on science, technology, and medicine for obvious reasons. And out of that is going to come lots of new opportunities for balance and health. We're also going to see a lot of technological misuse. We are at war right now with China and Russia, who've merged and who are attacking us with the data and electronics. That alliance with China and Russia are going to continue. The more, when you use any electronics, just send love through those wires. Just keep everything being filled with wires, and that literally will help the security of your system. But we're going to see the technology being a lot in the news this year. China is going to be a big pleasant player, and we're going to hear a lot about China. We're going to move our focus again from all this outside stuff that we've been missing to much more of a family nature kind of focus. And family is not necessarily your biological family, it's your family of choice. Who do you trust? Who has your back? Who do you feel safe with? That's your family of record. And so this year there'll be a much more focus on family and nature. And then aliens. Let's talk about aliens. We are being prepared in lots of ways. We're now getting a lot of drippings of information about alien contact being verified by governments. Things are being released that we know about them. For those who've been following their heart knows that we've had aliens among us for decades. When I did the workshop on the alien, what I call our cosmic cousins, there's at least 52 different varieties of aliens currently living on the planet, but we're going to become much more aware of them. If we get aliens are landing and invading and oh my God, and a fear-based kind of thing, know that it's all bunk, that our spiritual friends would never allow that to happen. Our alien buddies, we have a lot of alien support watching out for us and watching over us. And those who are not our support could not invade this planet because free will of this planet prohibits them unless someone calls them in. And so recognize that your power is much bigger than what you can imagine, that there will not be any real alien invasions. And those who are ready, those who are open, those who will not fall on their knees with, oh my gosh, how lucky we are because you're so great and powerful, and see them as gods, or run in fear, those who can stand in their power and authentically meet a new species will. We're going to have much more open contact for those who are ready to interact with them. And that will increase in years to come, but it'll become much more evident this year, much more open conversation, not the poo-poo, you think this is happening, but much more of this is sort of the way it's happening. Yeah, I'm seeing somebody's comment about the emotional reset, and yeah, that's a good way of putting it. We don't want to call in a financial reset, which is a lot in the conversation, because that's another way of controlling us. But there will be a lot of changes to our economic system, and always when anything's in change, fill it with love. Fill it with love. When things are happening that are challenging your belief system, and they will, go into truth, call on truth. Don't feel that you have to make a decision right then that it's lie or truth. Just sit with it. Just literally ask to know truth and sit with it and allow yourself to sort of percolate with the information, and then you'll know. You will know. Lots of talk about the days of darkness, and indeed that may happen because the internet has been used, and all the social media platforms have been used to control and manipulate us. And so in order to break free from that, there has to be sort of a drying out period. And so it's very possible that we may lose the internet for a period of time. I've heard everything from 3 to 10 days. My friends say it'll take as long as it takes in order for humanity to break their addiction to internet. So the more you can be at peace with not being online, the quicker the days of darkness will be over, as it's being said. But we will have that probably in 2021. Again, 2021 is going to be lots and lots of change. 2020 was a great opportunity to deal with our fears and our manipulation and control and our greed. 2021 will be not so much those things, but we'll take it into a further and deeper level. We have to learn this year to take action. Last year, we sort of accepted and experienced, but this is the year we have to catch our breath and take action, and intentional action with the outcome that we want to experience. So we're in an intellectual war with with China and Russia right now, all the hacking and stuff they're doing, this will escalate. And it's really important, again, depending on who gets in office, with all of this, whoever takes office is going to determine a lot of which direction we go in, because this is very much a pivotal point, a vortex. And so we go in this direction, but China and Russia are doing everything they can to weaken the US and our economy, in order they can, you know, intimidate us. And so we just have to trust and call on divine will and all those kinds of things. We're going to see a lot more protests, conflicts, riots, uprisings, some paid performances and some authentic. But we're going to have many, many more people this year all over the world no longer accepting the stuff we accepted this year. We're seeing that begin to increase now, but it's going to be much bigger in the year to come. Many more protests, many more people involved. The violence won't happen unless it's the paid interference that's going on. And those with money are still wanting to create the diversion. If you saw Sundance, was it Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid or something, that movie? There was a scene where they're in the bar and they're doing something in one corner and then a fight breaks out in the other corner that's actually a cover-up for what's going on in the other corner. That's sort of what our riots are right now. There are those with money who are causing these things to go on so that you're not watching what's going on in other directions. So it's really important that you not get hung up in the emotionality of these protests and these conflicts, but just continue to send love and do whatever you're guided to do in the process. Those who are really about people standing up for their sovereignty and for their free will are not the ones causing the damage. And we're going to see pretty much every major city in the world, although we may not hear about them through traditional media, but we're going to have lots and lots of protests and actions taking place. Focus on truth. You're going to see through the illusions, you're going to see the patterns, and that's going to be what tells you what is and isn't appropriate for the world. This is a power shift year. We're going to see governments shift powers, people, leaders, media, all those kinds of things. Our economy is going to start strong, and then there's going to be lots of changes. The kind of money we use, the way we use money, we're going to see lots of challenges. The more you can move in trust and you call on that, the economic struggle won't necessarily land at your door. It's what you need to go through for your own growth, but it's really important that you live life intentionally. Hollywood, Stacey, this is for you. Lots more scandals coming out of Hollywood. We think we've seen them, but we haven't. There's going to be a lot of changes in Hollywood, from leadership, from actions, from intentions, from ways of operating. We're also going to see, as we have these economic turndowns, we're also going to see China buying up a lot of the US. And I see that there could be a lot of involvement. As it is now, movies are scanned by Chinese representatives for content control before they're released. It's going to become much more overt about the Chinese involvement in Hollywood in this coming year. So I think that's pretty much the major issues. I said this year is going to be like a scab being removed from a festering wound, that we're going to see a lot of uglies. And it's important that we just, like a good old nurse, wash it up and keep going and let it heal, because it's not going to all be pretty. And there's going to be a lot of it that we say, oh, please, God, don't let this be true. Oh, please don't let this be true, because it's going to be challenging at lots and lots of levels. And it's real important that you just accept, because and send love and light, because this is the journey of healing that we're all calling forth. So with that, ta-da! I give you 2021. And with that, we send light and love into this earth and the atmosphere and the weather patterns. And we send light and love into all the leaders, those who will be leaders, those who want to be leaders. We send light and love to all the people on the planet, the mass consciousness of the planet. We send light and love to anyone and everyone who's open and willing to receive. We ask for truth this year. We ask for protection and guidance from all that we don't need to experience in order that Earth can find her healing, happiness, and balance, and that we begin to honor the Great Mother and our presence in her and with her. So be it. And a direct message, it will be important for everyone to stay in their lane and seek truth. Many shocking things will come out and will shake people at their core. If they are rooted in their own truth and trust their knowing, they will be rocked more than the earthquakes will cause. So much of 2021 will be about change. Each person will determine if it is for the better or worse. But for sure, 2022 will bring in a different energy. Leaders will fall, countries will mutate, beliefs will be shifted and challenged, but know that all is for divine good. Stay grounded. So, with that,
Can you repeat
ta-da!
the beginning?
The
Can you
beginning of
repeat
what?
The beginning of that, because of what you just read, because it was unstable, so I know I couldn't hear it, and I know that means at least IT couldn't hear it and stuff too. So can you just
Okay. It will be important for everyone to stay in their lane, which means mind your own business, and seek truth. Many shocking things will come out and will shake people at their core. If they're rooted in their own truth and trust their inner knowing, they will be fine. The earth will be rocked with more than earthquakes. So much of 2021 will be about change. Each person will determine if it is for the better or worse. But for sure, it will be gone by 2022. The world will be different. Is that good?
beautiful? And you wrote that?
Well, Spirit did. All right. So now, either questions, comments, or yes, Jennifer, you're muted.
Can you give us a little something uplifting after that?
You're in the driver's seat. You're in the driver's seat. You want to drive off the cliff? You can do that. You want to drive down a beautiful, what's that, 101 highway in California where you're looking at the coast? You can do that. You can go be anything that you want. So you're in the driver's seat, and that's the important part. Because everything is in movement, this is the best time to keep it moving to a creation that you desire. And so I would say that's the uplifting, the positive part, that it's all on you. And if you stay grounded, if you stay in nature, if you stay in appreciation and awe of this incredibly diverse, beautiful world that we have agreed to participate in, it's going to be absolutely wonderful. And if you focus on the challenges, the protests, the fears that are going to be opportunities, not going to be so much fun. So just, when you see the protests and the riots and the destructions, just be grateful this many people care this intently about the outcome, and that those who are working for the lesser lights, what my spirit friends call those who are not letting their light shine fully, must be really afraid that they're having to act out this and spend all this money against us. We must be doing something right, because if they knew they had it in the bag, they wouldn't bother. So as you look at every experience, take the time to what I call reframe it, to look at the positive side, and everything always has a positive side. Some jerk is doing something horrible to you. Well, the positive thing is you see it, you recognize it. You can change your role in this immediately. I can speak up or say something. I can change the reality that I live in. Somebody attacks you for not wearing a mask. We can send them love and recognize they're operating out of fear. And that's such a sad place to be. We're not in that place, but we're going to love them for where they are. So everything about it is positive, should you choose to see it as a positive. If you choose to see it as an opportunity for you to build your own strength build your own wisdom. There was a storm that came, a hurricane or whatever they are, that came through Florida many, many years ago. And a friend of mine was down there, and this came through and just wiped out a good part of Florida. And I forget the name of the town, but this whole town was annihilated. She was in Florida taking care of her invalid mother who could not be moved. And so she sat there and she said she said her prayers and she asked for help and she just surrounded the house with light and love. And when she walked out of her house, everything was flat, completely around her house, except her house, which was untouched. And you know, and that's a real experience. And I can't tell you the number of times I've had similar experiences. You just have to be in that trust, in that faith that you're determining the outcome, but you came to be a part of the game, and it's a game. You know, the light, and after we come through this period, the light will be brighter and more intense than ever, which is going to shine on a lot of the dark crevices of this world. And if you've ever been in a dark area for a long time and then come out into the sun, there's like an adjustment period. Like, oh, this is bright, and I have to let my eyes adjust to this light. That's the period we're going to be going through, is adjusting to the light, because we haven't been exposed to such bright light. And that's our personal adjustment. And especially after this period of darkness, it's going to be even more so that we adjust to the light. And you'll see a lot of people who are having a hard time adjusting to the light. We think, oh, why wouldn't you want to adjust to the light? But if you're so comfortable in the dark, in the deception, in the greed, in the power, the control, and manipulation, it's really scary to step out of that. And that's where our compassion, that's where our light is going to assist the world as they emerge out of this dark period that this planet's been on, that we assist them. But if we judge them and ridicule them and yell at them and do all that stuff, we only make it worse. We take us back to that lower energy. So it's really important that we recognize our individual role during each moment of this coming experience. Is that uplifting? Did I make it? Ah, pom-poms.
I love
Okay.
that. That can be a little like sometimes, but I think also this is like our ultimate boot camp to be the most divine self we can be. And so in order to really know how to speak your truth, you have to practice. And we practice on many levels, just like all of our life lessons. It comes in little bits, and then you're ready for the next level, and then the next level. So I think of this as our training ground and being the most divine person you can embody.
And I think of it as active duty. By golly, just do it. You know, it's not about practicing for 4 years or 4 months, or it's just do it. And so you want a nicer, more compassionate, kinder world, then today you be kinder, more compassionate, more understanding to those people who are not so easy to be compassionate with, not so easy to be loving to, the people who do not support you, but who actually work against you. Just love them.
I actually have
think that's
great. Sorry.
Go ahead,
Oh, go
Christina.
ahead.
I have a great example. I mean, I'm just a regular woman, and a tornado. Now,
Cancel.
oh yeah,
You are a powerful woman. Don't just regular, because regular is powerful. We're just unclaimed. Okay, now go ahead.
unclaimed. And a tornado. We had a tornado warning here, and at the winds were high, super high. My whole neighborhood did not have power, but I believed that I was protected. I believed so greatly that I was the only person who had power. As all my neighbors were outside because there was nothing inside roaming the streets, I had everything. And it was incredible to see it because I believed.
There's nothing
And-
regular
and-
about that.
And you called that in. That's important, because that's the active role that you played. Had you been, oh, we're in the middle of a storm, it would have been a regular storm for you too. But you said, no, I'm going to change my reality. I'm going to call in my divine help. I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. And you didn't have to go through it. I was shown a dream one time, and there was a big storm coming in, and I was told to say, and this was in the dream, that this is a day that God has made, rejoice and be glad. And it was the energy of that, of those words were so powerful as I'm walking down the street during this big storm. So now whenever there's big storms coming in, or I'm watching, you know, something and they're talking about these big storms coming, I just go into complete gratitude. This is a day that God has made, rejoice and be glad. And I'm really at peace with whatever happens. And so that's my go-to in bad weather. You each find your own go-to, but you're welcome to use that one. But yes, that's a perfect example of how you can create. And that's, remember I said about the little circles in the beginning? Your circle can have electricity. Someone else's electricity may be gone for 2 weeks, and branches through their roof and all these other kind of things. But we're going to create the world in which we operate in. I know. Go figure.
Because we can all do it. It was such a profound moment.
Well, I love that. And we are our own creator. All of us. So what is the movie you're projecting? Who's your cast? All of this we get to go back in and create. And is it going to be created because out of your desires, or is it out of your old programming? And right now it's moving through all of that. There's a couple questions on here, Mom.
Yay!
That I'll start with. And just a reminder, if you're all in the Zoom, Mom will do the at the end question sprinkles for you. So one is, what do you recommend for those of us calling in divine partnership? First of all, I will be talking.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I? This is a great year for divine partnerships, and relationships in general. We've had very dysfunctional, unhealthy, unhappy relationships in the past. We're having to relearn how to communicate. We're having to relearn how to connect. We're having to relearn all of those important things for relationships. Because as we come through this, the relationships that we have will be very different. And this year is going to also be a very powerful time for pulling in your romantic kind of relationship, your romantic partnership. And so be in your truth, but mostly spend time purifying yourself, getting yourself energetically ready so that you are able to match the energy of your divine perfect person. Let's say your divine perfect person is a 5, but you're only a 3. You can't have them, because you have to be at that level to be able to attract it, to be able to recognize it, to be able to integrate that. So you have to do all of your work to have the partner that you desire. But this is going to be a great year for those.
And I think also that starts with within. You have to be fulfilling within yourself and not have expectations of someone else fulfilling something for you. So I think that divine union partnership also starts within, because you want to come from a whole place. So if I want flowers, I get flowers. These are my birthday flowers, but just an example. So I think I will be talking a little bit about that in my class as well. And for trauma, one of the things I do work with is releasing trauma within our body and some of the techniques and how to process trauma when it does come in. Do not do as much.
So what's the other question?
The other question is about vaccines. It's asking, I don't know specific, but basically.
First of all, this is my opinion, and I will only get one if I'm dead and I have no choice. That's the only reason I would get a vaccine. So it's very clear. You got to kill me first, then you can shoot me. I was told over 15 years ago by Spirit to not under any circumstances get a vaccine, that there was a lot more in them than we recognized, and they did not serve me. So that was Spirit message at least 15 years ago. And it's much worse now. But I would not, under any circumstances, get a vaccine. And I've been preparing both my daughters who don't have children, but if they had children, not to get them vaccinated. So I'm very strongly that our bodies are perfect gifts. My immune system is wonderful. I don't need to get those kinds of things in my body to make my body well. That's my belief. Free will says you get to live your belief. when I was a child, we got all those, I think we got 6 or 7 different vaccines, but they were natural cooties from life. They were predictable, they were stable, there was not 8,000 of them mixed together. Now we don't get those same level of cooties. We get synthetic cooties that we may have 15 or 20 different combined in a single shot that are unstable, that can react in all kinds of different ways. Tremendous numbers of research has shown there's a correlation in our not Alzheimer's, but that too, but the communication disorders that children have. What, I forget what the word is. Anyway,
On the spectrum, autism.
autism. That's it. The autism. And again, I was a professor of early childhood. I read all the research and otherwise that it does not serve us. If you have to, if there's no way around it, then I would say I would do at least 24-hour fast beforehand. I would call in every angel, every spirit guide, every helper, every body in the universe to neutralize the energy of that inoculation before it went in my body. I would ask every spiritual contact that I had to alter the experience so that it served my highest good. I would do everything within my physical, spiritual, mental powers to neutralize that vaccination. And it's one of the reasons why I'm postponing the Egypt trip, because I don't want to get to Egypt and find out that I can't come home if I don't get the vaccination, because some airlines are now beginning to institute that you must be vaccinated in order to travel on their flights. And so for me, won't do it as long as there's any kind of option. But it's each person has for themselves decide. I had a friend come, and she was a doctor just finishing up her board exams, and she had willingly undergone it and said, no problem. So it's an issue. It's free will. You got to do what you got to do and live with the consequence of it. But for me, it's not an option.
And as a reminder, we are collective consciousness. So whatever you think about it, you still have those fear. You still have what you're focusing on is what you're bringing in. So remember to send it love, to ask for truth, and you can help shift where we go in the consciousness. But the more fear you bring in, the more hatred, it's not serving the divine and who you are or the planet. So just remember, we help choose this.
Okay, any other questions online? We'll go to Spirit Sprinkles.
Mafioso said, same here. Mac, basically do it over his dead body.
Okay. And I don't mind being dead. It's not a bad thing for me. So. All right.
I think people are ready for Spirit Sprinkles. Does anybody else have any general questions?
I have a comment, Stacey.
Okay.
Just now that you said that you said you don't mind being dead, Mom, me and my mom, we've talked about like, I guess like when we die or whatever, and she's like, I'm so scared to die. And I always tell her, I'm like, I'm not scared to die. And she's like, well, you're not scared to leave your kids. I'm like, no, I'm like, I don't know why I feel like that, but I'm not scared. Like, I'm not even scared how I'm gonna die. Like, I don't think about it, but I just don't feel like I am scared. Like, I don't have that fear.
Stacey, cue up Exploring Life's Last Frontier. She's got my books over there. Exploring Life's Last Frontier is a book I wrote when my mother was dying, and I was going through my own challenges with it. But it talks about 3 people who were living and then takes them through the death experience. And so it tells the stages of death, and we have stages of death just as much as we have, developmental stages of life. And so in order to write that book, I was literally taken through the death experience and shown these different levels and components, and it really is phenomenal. The challenge is, if you're afraid of death, your fears become your thoughts become manifest instantly when you die. So if you're afraid of the death, you create a fearful experience for yourself. And so I highly recommend my book, and just let her see that death is nothing. It's just going to sleep in one side of the world and opening and waking up in another. And it's a beautiful, beautiful energy, and it's nothing to be afraid of. You do stand accountable for your actions. So if you've done a lot of mean things, and you're going to be looking at those and experiencing those in order to make amends to yourself. No one else merits out punishment to you, but you look and say, oh, I could have done better for that. Maybe I should do this again. And so you have to stand accountable for your actions, but it's a wonderful experience. And I've since been blessed to be able to take people through the death process. Even though I'm living, I can constantly take people through the dying process, which is very, very much an honor to walk someone through that threshold. But it's a lovely experience, and tell your mom to call me and get over her fear. It doesn't serve anybody. But
And for you,
unfortunately,
it's
suicide is an exemption. If you kill yourself with suicide, then you got to come back and go through everything you've gone through plus one. So I'm not saying rush into death, but if death comes, no problem. All right.
Thank you.
You're
I just
welcome.
wanted to, that way the screen comes up so people can see. It's Exploring Life's Last Frontier, the world of death, dying, and letting go. And the best place to buy them is actually through Mom's website directly. Amazon does sell them, but sometimes people sell them for twice the price. So, and then it supports Mom directly. But she's got many books. In fact, on my YouTube, Stacy Harder, I read the very first book she wrote over 30-some years ago, which is Many Were Called, Few Were Chosen, the story of Mother Earth and Earth-based volunteers. And if you ever wonder, why are you here? What are you doing? You feel like you're made for something bigger, then that book is speaking to me, to you. It's wonderful. And it took me 30-some years to read it. And I read it a few times this year. It's powerful. In fact, Christina is the reason why I read it online, because I literally started reading it with her on the phone, and it was like, I knew there's that little voice of like, I have to put it on YouTube and just make it chapter for chapter. So there's an audible version available, because I am one of those people that likes to hear. So for what it's worth.
And I've been talking to dead people for 30 years. And so, don't sweat death. It's an easy breezy process. It's recess. All right. Anybody else? Then what I would like you to do is just jot your name in the chat, and if you can, and then we'll go in that order. But I will stay online as long as I can.
You do have a question on what you said about suicide. And she goes, what did you say about suicide? Do you come back to live experience again?
Suicide, under most circumstances, is like dropping out of school. But in the universe, you don't get to drop out of school. You come to Earth for lessons. You write your own lesson plans. You decide your own circumstances. You got to go through your lessons that you set up. No one is punishing you. If you take and say, okay, this is just too much shit for me. I'm dropping out. I'm quitting. I'm going to slash my wrists. I'm going to run my car into a pole. And they know when it's an intentional suicide versus an accidental death. So you can OD on something or other, and it's still suicide. But when you die of a suicide by your own hand, without the agreement of your higher self, you've got to come back to Earth. It's not a choice. And you go through everything you've gone through before plus one. Your life gets more complicated, more challenged. So suicide is no escape. And if someone has suicided out of life before, they come back and their life is even more challenging. The only exception to that is that there are people who will be terminally ill, and they will be, suffering, and they don't kill themselves because of their suffering, but they don't want to put hardship on other people. There are people who are so magnanimous and so concerned about the other people that they want to make it easier on them, so they end their own life artificially. That does not bring the same level of consequences as just, this is too hard, I'm out of here. I, on the other hand, tend to live to be a very long-lived person, and Stacy's going to be changing my diapers and wiping my chin and taking care of me, and I don't care. It's all right.
I'm honored to help teach.
Okay. So, with that said, your death experience is very much related to your life experience. If you have a hard time asking for help, then expect to have a challenging death experience, because you'll be put in a position where you have to ask for help. You don't resist your lessons, just move through them, because you're going to get it one way or the other. You might as well do it the easy way. Okay, sprinkles.
Well, real quick, I think the easiest way for sprinkles too is if you're on Zoom, if you go and click on participants, you'll see participants, and then if you have the chat open, there's actually an option that says raise your hand, and then it'll be really easy for mom to choose.
Raise your hand doesn't do it in order. So I've got Anna down as first. So we're going to do Anna first. And if you look at the chat, you can see who comes next.
Well,
So Anna, then Trina.
It's easier to do the raising hands to see it visually versus the chat. And then it's easy for you to see who's next. So just raise your hand and there you go. You got it.
And
Perfect.
Stacy just has a few control issues she's still working on.
Well, thank you. But
You're
it's just
Sorry.
easier.
All right. Easier for you. Thank you very much. All right. So with that, the way the sprinkles work is I just connect to your energy, and I go into your energy. And the easiest way to go into your energy is through your name. Your name carries the energetic projection of who you are. So by you saying your name, even though I can read it in front of you, just say your first name. And then if you have a specific question you want to ask about 2021, we're going to say focused on 2021. Then fine. And then every Thursday, in case you drop off this process, every Thursday we do a conversation as well on the same chat line. So feel free to invite your friends, come back and visit us. There's no charge for the calls. And we just talk about how to live consciously during this day. And always, our message is designed to assist you in your life and your life's work, and be truth for you. Sometimes people don't like what they hear, and I'm sorry, but I have to deliver it the way I get it. And my intention is a very loving intention. So with that, Anna, would you like to just say your name and yourself?
Anna. I guess just how to prepare for 2021, or what's the best for me to do in 2021, because I'm kind of like, I guess as far as like where I'm trying to get.
Okay. So 2020 has been very challenging for you. You've gone through, sort of what we say is going through the ringer. You've been tossed around a lot by the energies of 2020. And that was intentional, and that was preparation for 2021. This year, just imagine Superman's coming to mind. You've seen episodes where Superman twirls in the air because of something, and then he gets his stability and he takes off. And this is going to be your takeoff year. I mean, again, like those poles I use for skiing, it's going to be taking off. Where you have been the recipient of life in the past, you've received what life gave you. This is the year where you take charge, you take action, you step forward into the life that you choose to live. You're going to become much more proactive. And that's not necessarily a comfortable place for you, because you're much better at receiving, taking orders, than to live proactively. But it's going to be very important. You're much more powerful than you have acknowledged in your past. You're much more wise than you've acknowledged. So this year, I would also recommend, as you take charge, as you move forward in life, that you also take the time to be reflective on what the inside of you is telling you. What is your feeling about this? How do you feel? And if when you're doing that, and you just imagine what if you do X, or imagine doing Y, and how do they feel? Which one feels more comfortable, more natural, more empowered? But this is truly a year where you're going to find your inner guts, your inner strength, your inner wisdom. You're going to zoom through life and be confident that you will make the right decisions. You've sort of been hesitant, like, what if I make a mistake? What if I do something wrong? But this year, it's just be damned with it. This is what I feel like doing. I'm going to do it, and just know that it's what you need to do. Okay.
Take that quantum leap.
Yes. Well, and just know that you have lots and lots of help. You have to ask for it on the spiritual side who are assisting you. You've not put them to work much. Now it's time to make them earn their keep.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And
Happy 2021.
yes, I love
Likewise. Thank you.
and thanks for joining us. And again, when you get sprinkles, there's always the message in there for you too. And so that is a perfect reminder. Always ask for help and assistance. Okay. So if you need to PM me on how to raise your hand, feel do, but go ahead, Mom. You can.
Okay, I see Trina's name next. So I'm going to go with Trina's name. And where
Hello,
did Trina go?
I'm here. I'm here. It's Trina.
Okay. I see people move around. I get used to one place and then you're someplace else. So, all right, Trina. Okay, I've got to
I
clear out
understand.
Anna.
It confuses me too.
All right. So now go ahead.
I just want to know, what do you see for me for 2021? Am I going to be in my romantic relationship? Am I going to be on my mission, doing it fulfilled?
Okay, stop talking. Okay, so oftentimes I get these downloads and I've got to find the words to express them because it doesn't come in language and in order and stuff. So what I'll say with you is this is going to be a very powerful year. You're a very powerful woman. You know that. You're very accomplished. You've made lots of things happen. This is going to be the year of your unlearning. It's like you have to stop where Anna was stepping out. You have to step back and let go. And I'm getting chills as I'm saying this, but you have created such a force field around you that nobody can get in. And so this is the year for your relationships to become much more intimate, much more personal, much more vulnerable. It's a place you don't like to go, but you have to let go of the shields, of the armor that you have created through your power and through your intensity, and just be receptive, be soft, be playful, be gentle. You don't have to be perfect to be perfectly human. And there's where you have to let yourself be perfectly imperfect. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. Stacy and I just talked about this the other day.
And just saying it, I mean, the energy shift is so different in your energy field, just in thinking about letting that go and just being gentle, a gentle wind versus a hurricane. You know, that's the energy analogy of your energy. So this is the year for you to unlearn
Okay.
and
Thank
let
you.
yourself be. And Mr. Perfect is out there for you.
Okay. I thought so. Thank you.
He's not going to be as you expected him to be. It's like if you're looking for Mr. Heavyweight Champion of the World and you get a nerd, you know, it's that kind of thing. So what you're expecting is going to be different, but it's going to be so much better than you expected. And so don't be closed or too distinct in what you're calling in. Just ask for Mr. Perfect for you. Just call in Mr. Perfect and recognize it will be different than some of your earlier images of Mr. Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
It's a
Happy
good
2021.
Yes, good reminder for all of us that it doesn't always come in the packaging you're expecting, because it's not the packaging, it's the insides that matter. Okay, go
All
ahead.
right, Claudia. What?
I was gonna say whoever you see next.
Okay,
That's
Claudia, you're
Hi.
next. Have we
Hi.
played together before? You seem new.
I
Oh,
am
good.
totally new. I just saw you guys on Instagram Live, and I was like, "Whoa! This is just pulling me in so strongly." I'm like, "Okay, New Year's Day. These ladies have something to tell me," and I've been like taking notes intently on everything you've been saying.
Yeah.
I love that. It gives me chills. Thank you.
Thank you.
What part of the world are you in, Claudia?
I'm in El Salvador.
Okay. It's just always fun to know where people come from.
Yeah, it's funny.
All right. So again, Claudia, as you hear, I just want to hear your first name, and even though I know what it is, I want to vibrationally connect with it, and then I follow it in. And then if you have a question or issue, then please feel free. And I close my eyes, just sort of block all the distractions that are out there, so I can really focus in on your energy. So
Sure. Thank you. My name's Claudia, and I'm really just looking for like divine guidance on how this year is coming for me. I was the one who asked the question about divine partnership because I feel like I've been wishing for it forever and doing my personal work for a long time. And I'm like, all right, I'm cool if I'm not meant to be with someone, but I do want it. And I'm launching a couple of online businesses, and I'd love your input on that as well.
well, first of all, let's just play with your energy. And you've been put in El Salvador. It wasn't your original location, but you've been put in El Salvador because you're anchoring the energy very much in that place. You're there almost like a Peace Corps volunteer to shift the energy, and it's a very important role. But that is not where you're going to find your Mr. Perfect. In El Salvador, you are, oh gosh, I don't even know the word. You are much more commander of the energy. To find your Mr. Perfect, compatible, equal, you're going to find them in another location. Not that you're going to move, but it's going to be as you're either traveling or going someplace or doing something or whatever. This, as I said earlier, this is a great year for finding that Mr. Perfect, that relationship that we've been calling for and wanting, because the energies are going to be very supportive of new relationships and new experiences. And so he's going to be there. Again, the more you wish and want, the more you push him away. You have to just trust that he's there and he's coming in. I do recommend that you write him a good night note or a love note during the day and just send it out to the universe and just let him know that you're thinking of him, that you're there here and waiting for him, sort of like a queen in her castle, waiting for her king to show up. That you want to start blending with that energy. For you, you haven't chosen to have a partner at this time because you knew it would slow you down. It's like, if you've ever done like a sack races where there's, two people, but there's only 3 legs. You have to put one leg in a sack and you try and run across the finish line. It's much harder to run when there's a partner. And that's why you've not allowed this partner in your life, because you were going too fast. You're still going very fast. And so, you have to decide whether it's the speed of the destination or whether it's the journey and the ride in process that's more important. Right now, you keep looking for the destination, the finish line. I got this new business. I got to have this X number of dollars by the end of the year. I got to do this. I got to do that. You're always looking at a project, a finish line. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so with the partner, you have to stop looking in that way and look at the journey. I want to just stroll down the path with someone who supports and understands and recognizes me, and that I can understand and recognize him or her, whatever your partnership choice is. But it won't happen when you're always going to a finish line, when you're always trying to get things complete. It's a completely different energy that you're playing in. So at some point, you're going to have to decide which is primary. Not that you can't have them both, but you can't have them both at the same time as primary goals because they're conflicting interests. So if you decide that having a relationship, and I wouldn't worry about it till mid-year, is more important, then you're going to need to start smelling the flowers and spending more time in fun relaxation. And you don't give yourself a lot of relaxation. You keep yourself pretty much on a short tether. If you decide that your business opportunities are too good to miss and you want to get these done, then you have to be okay with putting off pulling in Mr. Perfect for a while. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So whatever you decide is divinely perfect because it's your life. You got to do it your way. But don't spend your life missing the relationship when you're choosing X. And if you choose a relationship, don't pine away at what might have been should you stay with your business. You have to be really happy and focused with wherever you are, whatever you choose.
And on the business side of things, I'm launching like some online businesses. Is there anything that pops out at you, or that you know, any guidance?
First of all, you have a lot of uh, guidance from the other side. You've got several very successful spirit friends who are assisting you and giving you inspiration and ideas. And should you choose to put your energy in it, you can't lose. You're definitely going to be successful. But if you're taking and missing this, you aren't truly focused here and you can't be successful. You have to give it, whatever your choice is, you have to give it your all and not worry about what isn't there. Does that make sense? Because if you're pulled back and forth, neither will come to pass.
And so in order to be in that space to attract a relationship, I mean, I didn't understand, you said something about flowers and,
Well, the idea of relaxation, rest, a gentle walk in the gardens and smelling the flowers, just giving yourself space to allow someone else to come into your life, giving yourself recreation, fun, joy. You have to make that kind of space in order to have a relationship come into your life. But if you're focused on getting this done and this business online and this project and creating this online course and this product, and if you're focused in that productivity energy, you're not making space for relationship.
Okay, so that's like being in my feminine, which is what Stacy.
No, it isn't about feminine. It's because you can be in your feminine when you're in business. It's about being in balance and whatever is needed. It's not about feminine energy versus masculine energy. It's about intention. If your focus is on being successful in business, it's going to take one set of behaviors. You're going to be creating one directional energy, and you're not making space for a relationship. If you want a relationship, you have to open up your life, create space in your life so that you can bring in a relationship. Is a quick, easy analogy. If I have fists, I get it done mindset, I don't have any space to hold anything. But if I open up and relax my hands, then I can hold something like someone's heart. So you have to decide what your primary goal is. Not that either one is right or wrong. They'll both have payoffs. They'll both be assets, but you can't do them both and be successful. You'll end up sabotaging them both. So decide what's more important.
And to me, that is a little bit more moving into the feminine and the masculine. The masculine, for me, internally, is more go-getter, business, do, where the feminine is that flow. And I think what you're saying, like, is the romantic, right? If you want a romantic partner, you have to have a romantic energy inside, because your energy is sending out to bring in, right? So if you're always in that fierce, it's like, that's what you're saying. There's no energy for it to come in. And so when you come in and you give that space, right? If you have that balance, even the masculine, feminine, and home and self life, then you give that opportunity for balance to come in. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see it as masculine and feminine. I just see it as intention. So, all right. Yeah. Next, we have Christina from New Jersey. Christina from New Jersey. So let me clear away Claudia. Okay, Miss Christina.
Okay, my name is Christina, and I would like to know what 2021 looks like for me.
Again, I'm trying to find the language and illustrations to talk about it. This year for you is going to be much more filled with relationships. In your past, you have been much more focused on, your business, your this, and felt less, not responsible, but less worthy of quality relationships. And so as you move into 2021, you're going to spend time, you're going to develop lots and lots of relationships of all kinds, because you're going to create the connections that you've longed for throughout your life, whether it's friends or boyfriends or dates or whatever. And so people will become important where they haven't always been important in the past, because it's almost like you shielded yourself from them because they may hurt you. And so this is the year where you're going to know they can't hurt you. You're too big for that, that it's just going to be about meeting the people and loving people and connecting. Sort of the images we get of Saint Germain when he sat on the bench, the birds came and the animals came, and he was always so sweet and kind. You're going to do that with people. It's just that you're going to attract them. They're going to come into you, and you're going to feel very natural with them. And in that, they will feed your soul and cause you to step out into your greatness. But this is going to be a year of people for you.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Have a wonderful 2021.
Thank you.
All right, our next friend is Laura.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, I'm lining up.
Hi,
the next
everybody.
name.
Hello.
All right, Laura. Where are you from, Laura?
Well, I'm originally from Connecticut, but I live in Florida.
Oh, okay. It's just fun to see where people are from. All right, Laura. I'm going to take a breath and clear the energy. And then if you will, just say your name and then whatever question you have.
I want to know what's in store for me for 2021. My name is Laura.
"2020 has brought up a lot of stuff for you, and you're still processing them. So to some degree, 2021 is going to be a continuation of some of the unfinished business of 2020. You're in a almost frenetic state of self-discovery. You're uncovering a lot of the goods, the bads, the assets, the liabilities of who you are, and in peeling away layers that you have put on through many, many lifetimes. You haven't got down to the core you, the authentic you yet. You're still discovering who that is. And she's much different than you imagined. Powerful. You're powerful. You know that. You've accomplished a lot. You've done a lot. You've done it through force. The next layer of creation is going to be through allowing. Again, trying to do analogies. In my younger day, I was a very forceful woman. It was almost like a bulldozer. You're in my way, I'm going to plow you over. Knock down trees, buildings, didn't matter. I just plowed them over because I knew what was supposed to happen. Now I am much gentler. This is the gentle me, by the way. I'm much wiser. I allow things to unfold. I don't have to make them happen. I allow them to happen through me. And that's a much more peaceful, serene way. So for you this year, learning how to allow, to trust, to let things unfold will bring you the serenity, the balance that you seek.
Okay. Anything you can tell me about work?
All right. Just in order to do that, I have to sort of tune into job energy. So just either a word about what you do, and just one word is all I need. Just a word of the job or boss or whatever, just something that I can tune into the energy with.
Analyze.
Okay. It's a very much a mental energy that's coming up, a mental make things happen as you emerge into the totality of who you are. That's going to be less and less comfortable. Intuitively, you're already getting lots of information about changes and shifts and alternatives. You've started that transition phase. It's going to become much more extreme. You have honed your mental skills in order to fit this job, but this job doesn't fit your spiritual self. And so you're going to get to a point where you have to make decisions. Do you want to continue in this, which you're very good at, but it isn't comfortable? So like wearing shoes that were made for you when your feet were smaller, or are you going to risk trying something new? And I remember I said this year is a year for risk. So does that help?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But who you are, your energy of you, and who the job is are not necessarily in alignment.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
good luck. 2021 will give you lots of opportunities.
Thank you.
Yay. You're welcome. All right. And we have a Patricia. Oh, but the name is Shane. Okay, that's
Yes.
a sneaky little thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Long story.
Okay.
Anyway, hi. Nice to see you. Coming to you from St. Croix.
Oh.
Yeah. I have been writing a book, and I'm in my third kind of, write, or my second or third rewrite, however you want to put that. But it's for the collective. And I just am kind of curious about where I'm going to get the pieces for the very last chapter of it and how I'm going to get it out there.
Well, first of all, quit worrying. It doesn't serve anybody. Shuts the energy down. You can't be successful. You have to move into trust. If you're doing this for the universe will support you and guide you and make it happen. You don't have to worry about it. Just trust. Ask for what you want and allow it to unfold in your life in divine, perfect time. When you begin to worry, as your word was, about what am I going to get in the last chapter? What am I going to do this? You shut off the energy and it won't happen. So you just have to trust, allow it to happen. I have books that I've been working on for 20 years because they're still unfolding. I have other books that have finished in 8 days because the information came in very quickly. But always I trust the process, and that's not always easy for you. For you, you like to dictate how the process will work. I mean, I knew this call was happening today, and usually I start getting weeks ahead of time information coming, but I didn't get anything till last night. It's like, I trusted it. It'll be perfect when it's there, and when it's not there, it's not supposed to be there. I'm not going to force it, and that's where you need to be. Cue the book. Many were called. Stacy Harder. Thank you. Many recall. This is my first book.
Yes. Okay.
She's going to hold it up.
Yours are in the way.
Ta-da! You have it? Okay. Just never mind. It's okay. Anyway, I wrote it in 8 days. Had no clue I was writing a book. I just had to record this story that was downloaded into my remembrance. It was a story that I experienced. It wasn't a story that I was channeling or that I made up. It was like I was capturing the fragments of memory to write this story. And then I was done. It's like, okay, I did it. And then I was on the call within a few days to a woman in Arizona who was selling magazines. And so I'm talking to her. I didn't know she was a publisher. I didn't know that she published books, but something happened in the conversation, and I mentioned what was in this book. She goes, I've got chills from head to toe. Send it to me immediately. Okay. And so I sent it to her. Prior to electronics, it had to be snail mailed. And then she says, I want to publish this. Okay. Within 7 months, within a week, she'd accepted it. Within 7 months, it was on the market. I've never done any marketing for it. I mean, Stacey Holding of the book is the most marketing I do. The universe markets that book. I'm in my 5th printing. It's gone to thousands and thousands of people all over the world because I was just following instructions. I was just doing what my heart guided me to do. Okay, now Stacy, show the book.
Okay.
Yay!
You were chosen. The story of Mother Earth. Wait, it's not going to my screen. Hang on.
Story of Mother Earth. Oh,
It's Earth-Based Volunteers, and it is her very first book written over 30 some years ago. It's really fabulous.
thank you. Anyway, so you don't have to worry about what's going to happen to it. Just do what you do. And if you get to a point where you don't have anything, then put it aside. I was in Bali. Love Bali. It's the place of the future. But when I was in Bali, they have wonderful wood carvers who carve things. And they've got like big open porches. And there'll be logs sitting there and stuff. And I asked one of the famous carving families what that means. He says, well, the spirit left the log. So they only work on that project when the spirit is with them. If the spirit leaves the log or leaves the wood, they just quit because they know that they can't do it without the spirit help. And so do the same thing. I have lots of rituals I do to bring in spirit when I'm working. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but be at peace with the process. So I'd say for this year, for you, your biggest journey, your biggest goal is to be at trust. And you may have 2 or 3 books started before you bring them to close. And who you need, how you need, what you need to get that book out into the world will be given to you. It has to. If that's what you ask
Yeah,
for, the universe has to.
I actually have a lot of support with the book. As far as
So why are you worried about the last chapter then?
because I'm offering my own form of knowledge for people to work with and connect for their path and their growth and to kind of take in directions that work for them. And I just want to make sure it's good enough.
Oh, so you don't trust yourself as well as not trust spirit. Oh,
Well,
wonderful.
no, I've done a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
what that's what you said.
I
So
want
you-
to make sure that what I offer is something that when I walk away from it, I'm going to be saying, yeah, that's good enough. That's where I'm coming from.
That's mental. That's mind. That's the you wanting to make sure that you've done it right. You have to let go of all that and just trust that if this is what you get, this is what you get. That you're not in control of the outcome or how people receive it. I've had people read my book, many were called, and say it's the best thing since sliced bread. I've had people read my book, many were called, and say, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. It's not ready for them. How they receive that information is not my business.
Right.
My business is to put it out as clearly and as aligned with spirit as I can be and trust. And then who's supposed to have it will come to it. If you're doubting your own content, your energy of doubt will go into that content. You have to be 100% secure with every word that you write that this is exactly what they need in this moment. It will help the people it's designed to. It will not help people who are not ready for it or who are past that point. And you have to be okay that there's no universal information for everybody.
Correct.
So
Okay.
just be at peace and trust. And that will be your lesson for this year. Patience, flexibility, trust.
I wrote those down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote those down early
just,
on.
When you take a shower, just imagine washing away everything that does not serve you and all the energy of those elements floating to you and through you so that as you emerge from that shower, you are a new woman ready to serve spirit, ready to be the right hand of God.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Happy 2021. I said that at a workshop about somebody being the right hand of God, and this woman jumped up. She goes, "I'm the right hand of God." I said, "It's God. He or she can have lots of hands, but we're all here to be in service." So,
right.
And if you need another pep talk or kick in the ass, feel free to email me.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much.
And one of the things I'm just finishing up my first cohort and starting the next one in 2022 2021 is mentoring people through writing their books and getting it out, because many people are being asked to write books and
Yeah.
are not doing it. They're holding back, they're resisting because they don't know how. So I'm sort of holding hands and walking people through it. The important thing is you take action. When you write a book, any of my books carry my energy of that when I was writing that book. It's a little slice of me. And so whether they take the book home and put it under their mattress or put it on the shelf, they're still carrying my energy with them. And I've multiplied my energy and spread it around the planet. That's the power of writing a book. If they read the book and take the information in, that's even better. But they don't have to be impacted by the book. Many of you may have bought books and then never read them. And it's okay, because you're still taking in the energy of that book. And then be very mindful not to take a book home that doesn't energetically align with you. I was somewhere and felt the energy of Dianetics. It's like, why would someone want to have that in their house? It was horrible
Yeah.
energy. I don't even know what the words are, and I don't like the energy. So make
Yeah.
time to feel the energy before you bring it in. But thank you, Patricia Sean. Why are you called Patricia Sean?
Well, it's actually, I was using my boss's Zoom, and so his name is still on it, and I just haven't taken it off yet.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. Just curious. Curious minds want to know. All right. And so let's see if anybody else is here. Susan, you're next.
Hi, yes. Yeah, I think I just generally want to know what's coming to me, I guess, career and love wise for this year.
Are you the same Susan I talked to last night?
No.
Okay. Well, Susan, you're sort of in the same as someone else. And again, I'm in sort of an altered state when I do this. I'm in consciousness, not in mind. So I forget who I said what to. And if you ask me in a week what I said, I won't remember. But your energy is the same as the woman I was saying, that it's going to be a year of unlearning. You've created a very powerful force field around yourself. And this is going to be a year where you're learning how to soften it. It's like the shield of invisibility, the cloak shield that Star Trek talked about. You know, you put this field around you and you alter the reality that other people see about you, and you haven't let yourself be fully seen. And I know you're successful and I know you're powerful, but this is a year where you have to literally be authentically present and let people see the real you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And so just allow yourself to be, and that's vulnerability, but it's also a level of intimacy where you can have the relationships that you want, where you can have the successes that you want. Because when we're forcing things, we're literally changing things. And this is a year where we want to just allow the divine to manifest divine plan through us. So for you, it's dropping the edges, dropping the, I would use the rock tumbler image, where you put rocks, rough, jagged rocks in a rock tumbler and they tumble till they come out and smooth and beautiful and all what's on the inside is showing. But that's too harsh. For you, it's going to be a very gentle, trusting, soothing, like a little brook, floating along, and you put your dirty hand in the brook and the brook washes away the dirt. It's a very gentle process. It's going to be very easy, but every day you're going to be asked to be a little more vulnerable, a little bit more in tuned, a little bit more trusting of what you know. And you know a lot. And a little bit more confident in speaking what you know, if that makes sense. It's going to be a great year for you. It's going to be very different than what you expected. Going back to expect the unexpected. It's almost like an unraveling for you. And don't fight it, just allow it, because you're carrying with you a lot of past life stuff and it doesn't serve you. So just let it go. Drop it in the brook. that it washed away.
Okay.
And have a wonderful 2021.
Thank you.
Okay, and Josie, you're next.
And unmute yourself, Josie.
Okay. There. Hello, how are you?
Now we're just gonna throw the
Okay,
energy.
put away.
Susan has a very powerful energy, so I want to just sort of neutralize that for a second and be ready for you.
Okay, I'm Josie, and I'm kind of going along with the the rest of the crowd about, let's see what 2021 has to offer in the sense of what I should be doing. I have been peeling
If you-
off the layers.
And I can tell.
Okay.
If you've ever watched an ice skater, you know, they get up in that little blade and they scoot along the ice on this little single blade. And when they first start skating it, there's no balance, there's no stability, and you know, they'll do all kinds of things and often fall down and then they're going. You have been going through life on those blades. Stacy was an ice skater, and it always amazed me how beautiful she could do her turns and be so graceful and move on ice. It was so intentional. She never wobbled and was unsteady. And that's sort of the transition you're going to be making this year. You've gone through your life unstable. You've gone through your life trembling, afraid that you're going to fall down or falling down. And that's okay. That's been your learning experience. This is the year where you're going to learn to stabilize. You're going to learn to be on those very thin blades and glide along with perfect intention, going where you want to go, knowing that you're going to get there, being very comfortable, very confident on those little thin blades. And so for you, I would first of all take an opportunity to watch some really proficient ice skaters. I'm sure YouTube has tons of clips, but watch them, the grace they have, the skills they have, the ability to maneuver and move on that ice in this perfect way. That's going to be you as you move through this year, not taking lessons from anybody else, but really developing that inner confidence that I don't need anybody else, that I can get where I want to go on my own with perfect precision. And if I want to take a few extra spins, I can do that. If I want to arch my back and glide, I can do that. And so really, this is the year for you to develop confidence in yourself, knowing fully that you are capable of all things.
Okay.
Have a wonderful 2021.
Oh, thank you. You too, honey. Love you.
Yay.
Yay.
When I start dancing and flowing.
I know.
I
I
miss
just like this.
the ice.
All
I
right,
was
next
grateful
week,
as theater.
Mayfer, we're in your term now. So you're muted, so you have to mute yourself.
Hi, how are
Hi, I'm good.
you? Good. Well, I like to know about
First of all, say your name.
Maria Fernanda.
That sounds a little beautiful.
I like to know a little bit about my love life, if I'm gonna meet someone this year. Don't know if any other guidance about my job hunting.
Okay, let's stay with those, because as you talk about other things, you start muting the energy. So I want to stay in your energy for a minute. First of all, Mayfer, do you dance?
Yes, I love to dance.
Okay, because that's how I'm seeing you. I'm seeing you dancing and with this flower in your ear, and that's where you're going to meet your partner. And it's going to be very much learning how to, lead and follow. I'm getting chills from head to toe. But you need to put more dance in your life intentionally. And each time you go dancing, you go in your very best self, because you're going to attract Mr. Perfect. You have not seen yourself in your full glory. You tend to diminish yourself. As I said earlier, if someone doesn't show up as their true self, well, you don't look in the mirror at your true self. You choose mirrors that are warped and give you false images of who you are. You need to throw those mirrors away and really begin to recognize who you are as very powerful and very significant. And that's the you that you want to take dancing. And I see you in this ruched red tight dress that you really are that, fabulous dancer. But literally, and because it gives you joy, you're going to attract someone who's attracted to your joy. You haven't allowed yourself a lot of joy in your life. You're very much more into the responsibility and the getting things done and be on time and that kind of stuff. You've held yourself to the work ethics, which is important. Yes. Balance is important. But this year, focus on fun and joy and relaxation, and you're going to attract the person that you need. It may not be till the second half of the year, because again, this year is going to be very much two-sided. But the more you practice being in that joyful place, going out there and dancing, even if Mr. Perfect doesn't show up, you're going to begin to build a habit of joy. And that's going to be very important. Have fun. More than anything else this year, have fun.
Okay. So,
and don't worry about your job. Just have fun, and it will happen. This isn't a job year. This is a have fun year.
Okay. I like that.
Okay.
I love there's other people mentioning too, they're getting chills by some of the other what you're saying.
Yeah. And that's important. If you're getting chills when I'm talking to someone, that's also spirit talking to you as well. So it may be that you need to increase your fun. And it's one of the reasons why you can benefit, even if you're listening to me talk to someone else, because you can go, oh yeah, I got to remember that. You put that on your little notepad. Remember to have fun. And it's kind of sad when we're a world that we have to remind ourselves to have fun.
And it's fun for me because what I'm given to do in class is a lot of the points you're talking about. I'm like, yes, I have already my list of things, and it's like, this is why I'm doing it. We have shut down our life force. Creative energy is feminine, and it's a lot of past life, it's a lot of trauma, it's a lot of stuff, and it's time to remove that and really create a safe space for us to just tap into that. And to me, I'm so excited. So
in my book, Exploring Life's Last Frontier, I talk about play and how humanity won't get to our perfected state until we learn to play again. And so this is a good year to start, because there's going to be a lot of reasons not to play. So we have to remember that play is our salvation. Play is our journey. It's the key to our mental health as well as everything else. So anybody else have questions? I see Jennifer wants to be last. So.
Okay. So I would say Alicia's next, and then we have, so someone's on their phone and can't figure out how to do the hand. So I have Sue. So I would say Alicia and then Sue. And then whoever else, if you don't know how to raise your hand, just message right now, because I have the chat open, that you want a sprinkle. And again, if wherever you're joining us, you do have to be on the live Zoom for Heather to talk to you.
It's too hard to track the energy all over the world. So if you want to sprinkle on Thursday night, join us on our call. And again, depending on time, we do some or all. So Alicia.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Yay.
My name is Alicia, And I would like to know what you see for 2020, 2021 for me.
Okay. The image I get instantly is like you're going on your head. If you can imagine those people who do the somersaults and they're on their feet and then they turn and they're on their head. This is going to be a world that turns you on your head. Lots and lots and lots of unexpected. Not necessarily bad, but different than you expect. So this year, among all the years you've lived, is be open, be ready, be enjoy, because it's going to, a lot of things are going to spin for you this year. I see it very successful. I see you being almost like heading an empire, but different than you expected. It's like you're going to be hands down top of your game. You've kept yourself, again, the image, I have to work in images because we don't have a language for energy. So it's like you have lived your life in a very tight corset, and this is the year where you take it off and just let everything hang out. You don't have to be right. You don't have to be politically correct. You don't have to be anything. You're just going to let yourself be who you are. And in that, you're going to rise like cream on the top of milk to the top of your game. And you're going to feel it when you're at the top of your game. It's going to feel like that flow, that, oh, this is it. And it's going to feel so good that your work becomes play.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Just trust that inner wisdom. You got lots and lots of inner wisdom. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My Sandy didn't raise her hand.
All right. So
All right, who's next?
not yet. Okay,
What?
so there is a few people coming back on or jumping over. So if you do want to do the reading, if you open up
We
the
don't call them readings. We don't call them readings. They're not readings. They're private.
I'll sign things
They're
different.
sprinkles.
Sprinkles.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Um,
And when you have a session with me, if you want to pay for a session with me, it's called a private session, because anything could happen. A reading is so psychically connected. I don't use that word. So, all right, who's next?
well, okay, just real quick. So if you do want a reading and you're here, so if you can raise your hand.
Did you just use the word reading again? You did. I heard it.
I did, because I'm not in that brain part. I'm in the,
Honor my gifts.
I'm not honoring your gift. It's just trying to do what I do separately. So, okay, I'm going to go back to Spirit
right.
Sprinkle.
Who's next?
If you want a Spirit Sprinkle.
Who's
If
next?
you open up the chat and the participant, there's a little button that says raise your hand. It's blue, and then it'll let you know, and then Mom will have a different screen than I do, and she's been calling people. Next is Sue Sacato. And Jen, if you don't know how to raise your hand, perfect. I'll put you in the thing, so you'll be after Sue. And if anybody else wants to do it, if you message me here, I'll make sure you get the calling for the reading. Or for the Spirit Sprinkle.
Thank you. And I think that's a good point, that we tend to think that if we're going to be working for Spirit, we've got to be perfect. We don't. You can be perfectly imperfect and be perfect for whatever you have to do. I think that's one of the misconceptions people had with Trump, and whether you support him or not, it doesn't bother me either way. But because he's an imperfect man, they think that he isn't good enough to be whatever he is. And you have to accept your imperfections as being divinely perfect for your mission on this planet. I am not perfect. I will not be perfect when I die. I'll just have finished my lessons. Stacy isn't perfect. We give you what we have benefited from, the lessons we've walked through. But please, I've had people get angry because I'm not perfect, or I make a mistake, or I do something wrong. Yeah, I do, and that's okay. And I accept myself for my imperfections. And it's really important that everybody else does the same thing. Jennifer, did you really want to go last, or do you just want to be polite? Because you keep getting moved down the list. So
I'll let some of the newbies go before.
okay.
That's fine.
So
Okay, so
who are we?
and then
so
I have Jennifer B, and then I have Charlene.
Okay. Would you in the chat for me just put the names in order so I can see who the list is, please? Then my spirit friends can be getting ready for their energy before I show up. Thank you, Stacy, obedient daughter that I have.
Okay. Say that again.
Just put their name, just put the list of names in the chat box so I can see who's next and the universe can get them ready and I can sort of be prepared for it.
Okay. I usually let them know on the thing, so I will be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you. And who did we say is next?
Sue.
Sue. Okay, Sue, after that lovely little consciousness break, I'm going to let you.
Okay, so Sue Scaduto, and I want to know anything about my romantic life for this year.
Well, as I said in the call, this is going to be a great year for romance of all kinds of relationships, but especially for people who've been waiting to pull in a romance. And the reason light workers haven't had partners is, or had a what I would call a dull relationship, is because it lets you use your energy for your spiritual work. If you have an active romantic life, it takes time and energy and you can't do it all. So it's been very intentional that we have kept that part of our life sort of quiet. This is the year where it'll begin to evolve and you'll be attracting men who are ready for that kind of spiritual energy. Many of you, even on this call, are living in the closet spiritually. You don't let people know who you are, what you are. You don't let people know what you believe. You sort of keep that part of you quiet. You can't have a relationship with someone in an honest way, whether it's romantic or platonic, if you're not fully who you are. And so you have to get comfortable with your totality before you can step up and be present in a relationship that demands of you your totality. So like I've said with everyone else, yes, this is going to be a great year for you, but you're going to have to let go of a lot of what you've held on to as your persona. We have created personas, characters, avatars of who we are when we show up in the world. And this year you have to be raw, you have to be naked, you have to be authentic. Excuse me. And that will then attract someone who's attracted to that part. But you have to let go of a lot what you've held sacred, a lot what you have kept yourself bound in, that girdle image. I didn't finish Alicia. Remind me to go back to Alicia. Oh no, we did finish Alicia, never mind. But you have to let go of a lot of that right thinking, not politically correct, even internal dialogue you have with yourself, and just let yourself be. And then you're going to attract that relationship. I'm looking for the words. Hold on a second. You have come very close to relationships. And I mean by like passing in the night kind of relationships, but you sabotage, you do a lot of self-sabotage. So you're going to have to address that issue in order for you to fully embrace a relationship. You do not want someone who tells you what to do. You do not want someone who is this or that. You have a lot of restrictions on a relationship. And in that, because you don't have to say them, maybe you're projecting them all the time. In that energy, you literally cause that potential relationship to move through. And remember, in a perfect relationship and a healthy relationship, you're equals. And in this world, it's very hard to see as an equal. We tend to be passive and we let the other person tell us what to do, or we become dominant and we tell the other person what we do. If you have control issues, if you have manipulation issues, men tend to be controlling, women tend to be manipulating, then you're not going to be able to manifest your healthy, perfect relationship. If you have issues of passivity and you want to just be in love with your little partner and listen to everything they say and go fetch their slippers and make them dinner at the perfect hour, you're not going to pull in the perfect relationship because you're not standing in your power. You have to learn how to stand in your power in a healthy way in order to attract someone who is also standing in their power in a healthy way. And that's going to be very important for you, Sue, is to learn how to stand in your power in a healthy way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't see your face, so you got to use words.
Yeah, thank you. I dropped the phone, so it went
See?
between my feet.
Self-sabotage. Didn't want to hear that. Okay. Well, you
Okay.
can listen to the recording and get it. And this recording will be up on Stacy's feed somewhere on Instagram and YouTube. So, and she's thrilled whenever anybody signs up for her YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel too, but I don't post. So,
24 subscribers. I'd be honored to have you be one of them.
yes, let's see if we can get it to 100 by the end of the week.
My IG grew to over 1,000. That's real exciting.
Yay! And I helped. All right. And then the next person, and if you have questions after we finish with all the things, we'll answer other questions.
Person. Real
This
quick.
is Alicia, and you said you were going back to me.
Yeah, but I because I forgot, but I do remember us ending with you on your, I see it as a peak of the mountain. You were on your
Okay.
crest. You make it to
Okay, just
it's
making
gonna
sure.
be a fabulous year for you, by the way. Just a fabulous year. Be open to the greatness, be open for the joy, the fun. Just learn to do a cartwheel.
And there's lots of comments on here too. We're all students. There's 2 questions. Yes, if you want to schedule a private session with my mom, I highly recommend it. I'm quite blessed. I get to have her personal coaching all the time.
Like it or not?
She's not changed her price in over 30 some years. So just so you know, if you feel like you want to donate more, you can, but she charges $97 an hour for private sessions. And I highly recommend them. They can transform your life. I normally charge more than that per hour, but I'm willing to match. If you ever want to work with either of us, please do. I find life so much easier to go through and have someone guide you in that process. It's not by accident I chose mom as my mom, but also there's a class about what my class is. It's a 4-week mini course to start off 2021 on your best foot, to embody the body, the mind, and the spirit in that oneness within the feminine. It is a feminine only class because I will be teaching some of the tantric principles, and I really want us to be able to move through some of the traumas in our body and to really embrace the feminine goddess and empower who you are. So if you're ready to move into that, I am ready to teach you some of the things I have found the most helpful. And I used to hate being in a woman's body, and I hated being feminine. So I've come a long ways. Okay, so next I have Charlene.
Oh, Charlene, let's strip her naked, make her walk through the street.
Hi. So
Hi.
my question for you today is what's in store for me for all these new projects?
All right. First of all, for those who don't know, Charlene and I go back a long way, and she used to say that she sort of hated me talking about different things because I made her feel like she was naked and totally vulnerable. So now for her to want to step up, that's huge progress. All right. All right. Let me not play with your energy seriously. There's a song by the Loving Spoonfuls that are coming to mind. Did you ever have to finally decide? Say yes to one and let the other one ride. It ain't often easy. It ain't often kind. Did you ever have to make up your mind? You know that song? You can
Is
Google
this,
it.
is this about two guys or something that are cute?
No,
Or?
No, it's a guy who falls in love with one girl and then gets distracted by her older sister, and there's different verses. But anyway,
Whoa.
but I love the refrain. Did you ever have to finally decide? Because life is all about deciding. You're actually sabotaging yourself by getting so many things going. It's another way for you to avoid really understanding and owning your power. You can do anything. You may not be able to do it all in the same minute, and you're going to be very successful with anything you undertake. But if you undertake so many projects, it's another way of sabotaging. It's another way of giving yourself an excuse why you can't make it happen. And I feel like a lot of the projects you brought in, important in their own right, are not important for this moment. That you need to decide in this moment, what is the thing that will make the biggest difference to you and your world and whatever else you want to impact. It's also a way that we fill up the space so we don't have to look at ourselves. If I'm so busy with all these important things in life, I don't have to look at my life. If I'm so busy helping everybody else, I don't have to look at my own life. If I'm so busy doing all these little things, then I don't have to worry about doing the big thing. It's a way of giving ourselves an excuse. And right now, some of that is coming into play with you. This is a year that you need to, not that you haven't done it, and I know more than anybody else how much you've done, but you need to really look and own your own greatness, not in what you're doing, but in what you're being. And a lot of your doingness is about avoiding your beingness. So do what you feel compelled to do, but also feel okay. And I keep a journal because my brain is always filled with zillions of ideas. I keep a journal and I just write down future projects. So I write that down so I don't forget it. And then I do whatever I'm focused on. Get your to be done kind of journal, but don't feel that everything that comes into your life has to be acted on. And you also, because you're getting so much more energetic presence, your light is shining brighter, and you're going to attract distractors. You're going to attract people who are going to seem like they've got a wonderful help for you, a wonderful support. They're going to make things easy by opening this door. They really are about getting you off your track. So discern the people that come into your life with great care and really be in tune with yourself. And then again, with love, wear your cosmic condom. Keep that on whenever you are functioning, because there are those forces that want to dim your light. I can be a force of darkness, but if I can turn off the light, I don't have to worry about the darkness because it happens. So when the more you get centered and balanced and in the light, the more you're going to attract those little moths that pester you in the light. So just take the precautions. They can't stop you. They're certainly not more powerful than you are, but you can become distracted by them. So don't let them. You got lots of okay. Oh, let me finish. You've got lots of fun things coming up this year. Okay.
Okay. So what I was saying is, you talked about where looking at things, how you'll see things in a different light. You'll see rituals, ceremonies that were done before, that you see how they would become different, and that started. So thanks for the confirmation of that.
Yeah. You have to be always in the present, because if you're doing what you were guided to do 5 years ago, then you're locked in that period 5 years ago, and you're not free to become more evolved into the current now. Again, I've been playing with this for 30 years, which is just mind-boggling to me. I'm not doing most of the things I was doing 30 years ago, or 25 years ago, or 20 years ago. I haven't removed an alien implant in 5 or so years. So be open to whatever. Pardon?
We did it before in one of your classes.
Yeah, I've done it, but I'm just saying those teachings were for that time period. Now that's not as big an issue as something else. And so just be willing to let your knowledge, skills, experiences evolve. If you try to freeze it, keep it like it always was, and I'm told that's a problem when people do spirit communication, is they try to lock it in so they're always channeling like they were. They literally kill the process, and then they become actors and not really supporting the universe. It's really important to allow yourself to change things, to feel, I feel like I need to do this instead of that. And I feel like, and just be in that feeling, because it's the feelings that carry the spirit message.
Yeah, that's been pretty loud. So thank you for just reinforcing that.
My joy.
Mhm.
I love you.
Love you too, Heather.
Happy 2021.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Don't know Charlene, you should. She runs a radio show out of St. Croix.
She's not anymore though.
She does.
No, I took a break. I was doing some other stuff, so I took a break.
That was the old Charlene. The new Charlene is doing other things.
Well, that's how you two met, and you became very good friends. And I've known about Charlene for years. Yet to meet in person, but it's always lovely, refreshing just to.
I miss her. When she did the radio show, she'd say, "Come talk about this," and so I get to talk about all kinds of things that I wouldn't normally get to talk about. So
yeah, we're missing our St. Croix sprinkle this year.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
You got to bring me back.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Heather.
You're welcome. I love you.
So next I have is Jennifer B. Did we do Jennifer B?
I don't know.
Already unmuted, unless you just muted herself.
Yes, I am muted myself.
Jen! Look
Hi.
at you having your amazing Egypt picture. So she comes from New York and friends from City Empress, which is New York, Christine. Anyways,
okay.
I'd like to say that. And then one thing I think is a beautiful thing that's sort of coming up in some of the private chats is the financial thing. And I think, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but I do feel that a lot of the old
don't buddy the energy for Jennifer B. At the end, when I finish the private sessions, then you can bring up that.
It's fine.
Okay, thank you. Because the energy gets all mixed. It's like a paisley or tie-dye. I want to keep the energy as clear as possible. So, okay, gonna work that out. Jennifer B., who are you? And what do you want?
Yes, hi Heather. So my question is, I would like to ask the same as everybody, what is 2021 bringing me? And also if there's any romantic relationship that will be coming to this year.
The two biggest issues this planet has to work on collectively is sex and money. Both of those will play heavily in 2021. Both those will play heavily in your life. And it's not about just having a partner. It's about having the perfect partner. Good enough is no longer good enough. You've had relationships in the past where you settled. They weren't healthy. They weren't for your highest and best good, but they were people with pulses. So this relationship you're calling in is very much a perfect partner, one. And when I say perfect, I don't mean perfect as no imperfections, but it's a person who's balanced, who's equal, who's healthy, who's able to recognize your greatness as well as stand in their own greatness. They don't have to belittle themselves to make you feel good about who you are. So when we talk about that perfect relationship, it's very important. And as I said many times, this is a good year to manifest that perfect relationship. And you're in that category. Again, as I play in your energy, one of the things that you have to do is begin to have confidence in who you are. You're one of those self-esteem people that sort of diminish yourself in lots of subtle ways. Like attracts like. If you diminish you, you're going to attract people who diminish you. And that is not a perfect relationship. So you have to begin to really accept and honor your own greatness. You have to know your worth and love yourself unconditionally. in order to attract that love unconditionally. So I'd say those are your homework pieces in preparation for your perfect love. You have to love yourself and every little blemish of yourself in order to be that energy that someone else wants to come in and love as well. If you're hiding your imperfections or trying to diminish your flaws as you see them so that nobody will recognize them, then you're also hiding from that ideal relationship. So you have a big decision this I'd say for the first 3 months is to literally like, recognize, and honor self.
Wow, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Very much, yes.
Okay. One of the exercises that I found very helpful, and I've always been a very confident person, so that was not an issue for me, but I was kind of surprised when I was told that I needed to look in the mirror, and this was a something Spirit told me to do. Look in the mirror and really look at myself, square on in the eyes, and say, I love you just the way you are. And I realized that I never looked in the mirror. I put on a full face of makeup without looking in the mirror. I never looked at myself. And when I said it, I love you just the way you are, I heard all that little back talk, yeah, right, that you could be this, or your nose could be better. And I heard myself arguing with myself when I said, I love you just the way you are. And I was told to say it 3 times, once a day, until there was no back talk. Till I could look at myself in the eye and say, I love you just the way you are, and really mean it. And it took a while. It didn't happen overnight. And I was I was a person who I would say, I don't have any self-worth issues, but that exercise showed me that I did it. I really did have self-worth issues. So I highly recommend that exercise to help you really fall in love with yourself. And when you love yourself unconditionally, then you will attract love unconditionally.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Since you didn't write them in the thing.
I did actually, if you look.
I
It's just
did.
a lot harder to get to go back and forth. That's why it's the hand thing makes it easy.
All right, go ahead. Who's next?
I'm looking.
Okay. Sandy, do you want to sprinkle or not? You're muted, so I can't hear you. And if you knew Sandy, muting is not natural.
I mute you. Someone had a question about one of the sprinkles you were giving.
All right,
Someone
let
said
me
they
do
felt-
Sandy, and then we'll do Jennifer, and then we'll answer the questions about the sprinkles, okay? Sandy, did you want to sprinkle? Nod your head, yes, no. Okay, then I'm going to unmute you. Don't touch the buttons.
She has to accept. There you go.
Okay, I did it. Okay.
Okay, now.
First of all,
I'm really in the 21st century.
And Sandy is in Mississippi.
Yes, I am.
Mississippi.
And I think
So
the first time I met you, Sandy, I was 12, and you visited me at the Broadmoor when I was ice skating training. You were right? Wasn't that the first time I actually met you?
I've seen you a lot through these years, yes. You've grown up beautifully, and I love you.
I love you. Thank you.
all right, Sandy, say your name and then your question or whatever, and then we'll play with your energy.
Okay, my name is Sandy, and I guess I'll just follow suit with all those other people and find out what is possibly in store for me in this 2021. I'm
Okay.
so happy to survive 2020.
Yep. There's a Christmas ornament that was real cute, and it had 2020 in the center, and then it was like these scrolly things outside. And if you looked at the scrolly things, it was FUCK. So it's all around. I thought, I don't want that energy on my tree, but it's really clever. But anyway, what I first saw, and again, I know Sandy in lots of capacities, but Sandy loves to fly and loves to travel. And I see you as a caged bird. This is a year where you're not going to be able to fly as much. You're not going to be able to travel and get that wanderlust energy that you so feed on. That you're going to have to find a way of being happy in the place that you are, which is going to be very much more anchored than you're used to. You heard me talk to Charlene about how she distracts herself with lots of projects, or could distract herself through lots of projects. You distract yourself through travel and engagement with others. This is a year where you're going to really be responsible, mindful, anchored, stable, and you're going to find the true depths of Sandy. You haven't done that. You haven't looked deep. You've looked wide. And so this year is going to command you to drill down and drill inward until you really appreciate who you are and what you are and what you're capable of. And I know this may come as a surprise to you, but I really see you writing a book about your travels and about how you've traveled and how you've done what you've done. And Sandy is, for the rest of you, is sort of one of my mentors, because I've seen her do impossible things. You know, she was a counselor and she went to work for Pan Am just a few hours a week so she'd get unlimited travel benefits, so she could fly the world for nothing. And I saw her enter a poker championship in Las Vegas so she'd get free comps for being a poker person. And she ended up being one of the finalists in this poker competition. And she didn't know how to play poker before going into this poker competition. So when I talk about someone who takes risks and steps on the branch, that's Sandy. She has lived this amazing life, but not through what we would call a traditional way of going and buying a ticket and, you know, do whatever. She's like, well, make it happen another way. And I so admire that with you. And, you know, I've said that to you before. But this is the year where you're going to change. You're going to find the depths of yourself. You've found this, but now you're going to share with the world how you take risks, how you go out in the branch and make things happen. And you're going to share the lessons you've learned with the next generation who doesn't see that as possible. So I highly recommend that you get your little journal out and you, or pad of paper or binder, whatever, and begin just taking notes about, you know, reflections over your life and how you made that happen, what you did to that, and how you do that. And you know, you've just done such amazing things that I don't think you see how amazing they are. And other people would love to learn how you've done it and would grow from the experience. And you know that I'm always there in your corner to help make that happen. So unfortunately, let the caged birds sing this year. And it'll be a great year for you. It may not be the one that you want, but it's a great year for you.
Okay.
All right.
How about that?
Happy. Love
Thank
you.
you. Love you too.
Are we ready for Jennifer now, Stacy? Is there somebody else?
You said you don't want the questions now.
No, I don't want. I wanted to finish up with the things. So Jennifer's our next person. Yay, Jennifer.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Jennifer, and my question is, I'd like to start out my business probably in the spring. And is there any energy around that, or the location, the structure, anything I should be focusing on?
Give me one word for your business. What kind of business is it?
Natural health.
Okay, this is where it shakes my confidence when I say that, but I have to say what I'm getting, do with it what it may. I don't see you going into that. I think you're always going to be a natural health advocate, and I think you're going to talk about them, but I don't see that business coming to manifest at this point in time. I see you much more in the political realm. I think you're going to go work for some politician. I think you're going to go get a job as somebody's assistant. I think you're going to start working in the political arena and finding your voice then through your voice, you're going to be a spokesperson for the natural health arena, which gets a lot of bad press and restrictions. And so I don't see you having a business. I see you being almost being a business in yourself. But I'd go see if you can become an intern or an assistant or work for some campaign. But I see your life going into the political arena, big time, big time. That you may work for another politician for, a few years and then you run for office. But I don't see you being anchored to a building, to a massage parlor, or, any kind of natural health kind of thing. I just energetically, it's like this. And as I said in the beginning of this, every prediction is changeable, that nothing is set in stone. We all are the creator of our future collectively and individually. So you can have whatever you want. I'm sharing with you what I experience is your probable future. And you're the first one that says, oh, hell no, it's not going to happen. So do with it what you may, and it comes with love. But you're destined to be a voice. You're destined to be an influencer. I'm getting chills as I'm saying this. You're destined to change minds. And so putting together a blog post or a podcast for natural health, that I could see to help build up your platform. But I don't see a bricks and mortar, because when you create something physical like that, it's like having a child. You're now anchored to it and you have a lot of responsibility to it. I don't see that for you. So
that makes sense there.
For what it's worth,
yes.
Again, I'm in your corner.
Yeah, and I'm connected to this Massachusetts Dr. Shiva, so
whoever wins the election, go apply for them. Go apply for a paid position. Because you'll have much more voice as a paid position. Sometimes you have to go in as an intern just to let them try you out, but you want to start applying for jobs through them, whether you like the candidate or not, because you'll influence them either way energetically. And you can learn a lot from bad examples as you can from good examples, but start applying for jobs. Has this person won the election yet, or is she still?
No, he's trying to expose the fraud that happened to him as well. But his campaign, so he's starting a grassroots campaign, and he is about truth, freedom, and health.
Is he hiring people?
He's going to train us all for free.
Well, take the training, and then that's a good platform for when you apply for a job. As I got involved with this person's camp, I really enjoy politics, and so I'd like to be able to make my living there. So apply for jobs, but you want a job that gives you a salary, because you will have more credibility as a salaried person rather than a volunteer. And it's hard to pay the rent as a volunteer.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. And then you can work your way up through different jobs, but eventually you'll become your own candidate and your own voice.
Thank you.
And Jen, just so you know, you're welcome to reach out to me. I don't know if you know, but I was a finance coordinator in 2 U.S. congressional campaigns, and one was a top 3 targeted race in the nation. So I do have some political experience. That was the old version of me. I got out of it because I couldn't take the inconsistency and lack of truth. So I love that you're going, and we've talked about that. So,
well, she has decided that. I'm just telling her that's what I see for her.
Well,
so it's got to be her decision. But she asked me what I saw, and I have to tell her what I saw. So sorry.
I love that. But privately, we have had conversations that that's what she's being called to do, is in the politics and arena. And so I think that's perfect that that's what you're reading is, because that was also what you've mentioned in a different time. I think when
It's what is.
Yeah.
Okay, now ask the questions. What questions do you have?
Well, there's 2 things that came up. One is there was, I'm not going to say who it's from. You're welcome to private message if you want to clarify anything. But basically, when you were giving a reading, someone felt chills. When
I don't do reading. I do sessions. I do sprinkles. Quick on the reading. No reading. Go ahead.
but
Just
you're
saying.
telling me stay reading by saying don't say this and say this. So I'm gonna do my best to.
All right. So go
Okay.
ahead. And they got sprinkles. What? I mean, they got shivers. What?
I felt chills. I'm just reading it. Okay, word for word. When she was talking about May 1st sprinkle, she was talking about her finding a partner, but they're married, so they're not sure how that aligns with them.
Everything's a choice. I was invited to go to the University of South Africa and do some workshops. I was married. And I had someone who I trusted, who was a very psychic, tell me that I was going to meet the man of my dreams when I went to South Africa and did this workshop. And I thought, oh shit, I don't want the messiness of it. I don't want to deal with it. I'm married, I have children. So I just canceled the trip. I didn't go. Obviously, I didn't meet anybody. It was a choice that I had. When you have opportunities of meeting people and you're married, you have to assess what's in your highest best good. If you're in a relationship that's happy and satisfying, yay. If it's not, that might be telling you it's time to say goodbye. Once upon a time, our relationships were designed to last forever. We got married, we celebrated our 50th anniversary, we died, that was it. Today, relationships are like speed learning. They're accelerated learning. You go into a relationship and everything about you and them is magnified and amplified and reflected back to you. So you learn twice as fast and twice as much. So relationships of all kind are really about learning. When the lessons are learned, the relationship is dead. Some people stay in it, some people break away. Doesn't matter. It's just a choice. There's no right or wrong. If you're getting chills about finding a partner at the same time you're married, it might be saying, maybe this relationship is ending. Maybe this is time. It's kind of hard to say this because I'm talking about Stacy's father, but I was married. I knew the relationship was dead and had been dead for a while. And I didn't care. There was nobody else in my life. So, I just stayed in this very dead relationship. And then one day I began to know that there was going to be another relationship coming into my life and that I needed to clear the deck. And so I started the proceedings, talked to Bob. We had a very amicable divorce, stayed friends his last 2 years of his life. I cared for him while he was bedridden. So we had that 3 years. We had that kind of relationship, but I also knew that we no longer had a marriage. And so I broke away and life went on. You have to decide. Everything about your life is about choice, is about freedom, it's about free will. Do you want to entangle yourself with a extramarital relationship? Another set of challenges. Do you want to clear the deck of a relationship that no longer serves you so that you're free and open and available? There's no right, there's no wrong. You just do what you feel is right for you in that moment. Looking back, you may say, gosh, I wish I'd have done this earlier, or I wish I'd have done this way, which is fine, but you got to decide what's right for you. But the fact that you got chills on that is saying that something there for you to look at. There's something there for you to learn from. Now, any other questions?
Yes, there's another part that came up. We have the two main issues coming up all over the globe, which is sex and money, and the issues around that. And I'm really excited about the upcoming project. I'm not going to talk about it right this moment, but at the same time, being able to shift that on the planet is a huge part of my calling. But one of the things I think that was important to talk about is money. I think we're losing the old structures from the three-dimensional world that we knew money, you work hard, you do these things. But now the new reality to me is the fifth dimensional, where money is just an energy. And I think that a lot of those financial issues are coming up just to be cleared out, to really move into the spiritualness of financial. And some of the stuff I will do sliding scales depending on where you can afford things. But it is an exchange. And so I know there's also been people who have donated as well when we even do these things. And it's a beautiful exchange. Obviously, that helps us tremendously as well. And it's a beautiful gift. We never require it, but donations, anytime you're doing spiritual work, it's a beautiful exchange to be able to have that energy. And so I think as we're moving into that financial flow, right, when you hold on to it, you restrict it. When you trust and you give it away, it's like when you talk about Bali, they always do the blessings. And I think it's a new opportunity also to move into 2021 with that open place. So I thought you would touch base on that just because it came up through some of the conversations.
All right, and I will reinforce that I love donations, and you're welcome to give them to me anytime you want. But I don't look for an energy exchange from you. My energy exchange comes from the universe. I am provided for in ways that you can't imagine. And so I don't look at an energy exchange unless I'm guided to ask for, to allow. Everything I do is freely given. If you want to make a donation, yay. If you don't, that's fine. As we get more and more restrictions about what we can say on these channels, on these social media platforms, then I may look at, Patreon or some of the other things that give you ability to say anything you want. So I'm the spiritual person that says the exchange comes from the universe. When I work for the universe, it's the universe that gives me my salary. It's the universe that brings me my good. And I'm going to, again, look at Sandy as a perfect example of the future. Sandy has done amazing things and had amazing adventures on nothing. I mean, literally, she hasn't done it with money. We are programmed to think we need money to do this. We need money to do that. We need money to have X, Y, and Z. And that's a lie. That's not the truth. We ask for what we want, but so many people ask for the money to get what they want. Then when they don't get the money, they think they can't have it. And that's a mistaken that we need to correct. If this is what you want, go to that place. Don't try and just manifest money to get to that place. You can often waste a lot of time and energy. Sandy, would you like to respond to any of that, since I'm using you as an example? And not that Sandy doesn't have money, but I mean, I've seen her do amazing things.
I have always just, I'm not, it's always been subconscious. I've never tried specifically to ask for any specific thing, but I seem to manifest everything pretty easily somehow. And I
He
don't
calls
really
me and says, "You want to go to Australia?" I said, "Sure." I just won 2 trips to Australia. We're doing a wine tour through Australia. Okay, when do I believe? And so I was one of her friends that was sort of able to manifest my own schedule. But I mean, amazing life, but not because she manifested the money. Quit thinking in terms of you've got to have money to do this. You've got to have money to do that. I bought 4 buildings, opened 4 centers, and never had the money for them. And I've done workshops on how I did my creative juices to do this. Stop thinking you have to have the money to make something happen. Money is a way we've been controlled and manipulated. Sex is also a way we've been controlled and manipulated. We want to take and move into freedom, free will, which is what we're wanting to manifest in the planet. Free will is the law of the land. You say anything else you want to say about it?
It's just like my friends would often ask me, "Well, why are you going when you don't have any money?" I said, "Well, if I waited till I had money, I'd never go." So you just, you just do what you need to do. And it has somehow miraculously worked for me really, really well, because I literally have been around the world, a lot of it with Miss Heather, thank goodness. And I look back at it and I'm kind of amazed, actually, because
And that's why this is the year you write your book, Sandy. I bet people on here, how many of you would buy her book on how to travel free and do all the things she's to see? You got some sales already. You have an amazing story. It's not my story to tell, but it's your story. And it really is about freeing people up from the money mindset.
That's true. And I hadn't really put it in that perspective. And that is actually true. But I just always decided, I want to do something, I'm going to do it somehow. And I usually do somehow.
And I was
think
always
that's the
traveling along and watching.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of what you do is you have your intentions. This is just a manifesting. You put it out there and you know it's going to be. And then you release. You don't have the mind, oh, I can't do that. There's nothing holding you back of attachments or holding it. It is this free universal thing and you allow it to be free and you trust in it. It's like mom puts in the Amazon order, right? When you put out the Amazon order, you don't have to sit there and check, is it going to be here tomorrow? Is it going to be, where is it on the check? Blah, blah. You just know it's going to show up. And I think that's the 5 dimension. That's the where we're moving into. And that you've always had that natural gift of you don't let your mind negative talk you. You don't believe in limitations. You believe in what you want and desire. And it's so easy for you because it is your practice. It's, it's that opening, it's that trusting, it's that, and so it is like, okay, let's make it so.
And maybe
and
some
I
Thursday
agree
night.
with you. So many people put off doing the thing.
Yes, they do.
Until they have the money.
By the way, we have some people on here that say Marietta Hartley. Do you know who Marietta Hartley is?
Sounds familiar. Yes.
It sounds, I guess, Sandy, you look like her.
Yes.
She's famous actress, and you sound and look like you.
All right. Oh, stop talking for a second, Stacey. Sandy, some Thursday night, if you would join me, and then we will discuss some in detail how you've done some things that you've done. And if if you're willing, and then that can become the structure of your book.
It got me writing a book somehow, and I'd never thought about writing a book. I
planted the seed. Now I'm hoeing the weeds. So
yes, ma'am. Gotcha.
Just tell me some Thursday night when you're available, and we'll make it one of our conversations.
Okay.
Because I truly admire the way you've done it. And
I don't even know how I've done it. I just do it. That's
exactly.
irony. I mean.
And that's the lesson that everybody needs. You just do it. You act as if. We had somebody who was not sure what her last chapter of her book's going to be. Oh, well, you're not there yet. So just keep writing till you get to the last chapter, and then you'll be told. There were many times where I'd be writing a book and I'd go, I don't know what to write next. So I just go take a nap and wake up and know perfectly exactly what I needed to write. Just trust that it'll be there when you write it. Same thing with you, Miss Sandy. Okay, any other questions? Because 2021 is moving along. We need to go and eat and whatever. Christina.
I have a comment since we're talking about relationships. What did you call it that we are spiritually hiding? How did you put that?
Well, we know about gays being in the closet and they hide who they are because they're afraid of what people will say or what people will think. So they hide a very important aspect of who they are. There are more gay and there are more spiritual beings in the closet hiding their spirituality because they're afraid of what people say, what people think. You cannot attract an authentic relationship when you are not being authentically present in that relationship. If your spirituality is important to you, you have to own that. And if someone dumps you because of it, oh well, the magic next word next. I was at the beach with a guy who graduated from MIT with his master's, and he was very proud of his little brain. And a bee stung him. And apparently he was highly allergic to bee stings. And he's sort of panicking. And I said, well, do you mind if I play with it? And he said, no. And I said, so I just energetically didn't touch him, but energetically played with the energy of this bee sting. And you could see where the sting was and where it started to raise. And literally it went back to normal. You still saw where the bee sting was, but he had no reaction. And he was absolutely hysterical. He said, I should be in the hospital right now. My EpiPen's in the car. How did you do that? What's going on? But he was so freaked out that we never went out again. It was too much for him. But better to know that before I get invested in the relationship. There are some people who can't handle it, and that's okay. They're not my perfect partner if they're in that category. But when you hide who you are, you will never be able to attract the perfect partner.
Right. And that's what we're doing now. We're going to start attracting our perfect partners because we are not going to hide that anymore. We're not going to be in the closet anymore. And the perfect example, I go to this coffee shop every day, and you know, me and this kid, it's very short, brief interactions, but he'll ask me a question about what's going on, and I give him my truth, you know, my truth. And then all of a sudden one day he asked me a question and I said something, and he looked at me and he said, "What are you?" And it was the best thing someone has ever said to me, because I was like, I don't have to hide, and he adores me. And it's just, it was so eye-opening. It's like, what are you? I'm like, just the truth, you know?
Well, next
So-
time you say, I'm a perfect woman.
Oh,
And so own that too. But yes, that's a perfect example, because when you hide who you are, you're miserable and everybody else is miserable because you're attracting all the wrong things. So just be authentic. I said last time, this is a year to be authentic, 100% who you are, come hell or high water, and regardless of how people receive it. And you can get backlash from it. I mean, I certainly have, but oh well, it's what happens.
yeah.
I've gotten much more reward from me being authentic than I have anything else. Yes, Miss Stacy.
Well, I love that, because that gives people permission to be genuine too. And it's like you can feel that resonance. And a lot of you get drawn to certain people because you can feel it and in tune it. And I think that's the gifts that we're remembering inside of us, is our tune in. That is our only navigator that we should really be listening to. Not what the news tells you, not what anybody else is telling you, but what do you know inside of you? So I love that. And I have to say, it's been wonderful seeing you expand so much in that process. So thank you for being a part of this. Also, Sandy mom did an 8-week mini course on writing your book from A to Z. And so hopefully she'll be doing that again, but it is a fun class of spiritual. I've also, now I'm in my editing draft phase. It's to me the most challenging of all the phases, but it really is the most aligned I've ever felt in my entire life, is stepping into that. And if you have any kind of spark, I highly suggest diving in. As if you know my mom, she probably has at least 30 books written. A few, I think one at the publisher, printer, typesetter people now, another one on the way. So it's, for me, an overwhelming situation, but I am learning through mom on inch by inch, it's a cinch, and yard by yard, it's hard. So
That's
just
one of my
follow
favorites.
that. I know, it got me through college, mom.
Okay.
Inch by inch is
All right.
okay. Wait.
Wrap it up. Anybody else have any questions before we close up? Because we're almost into 4 hours. I think we've got 2021 down.
I have questions for you.
You what?
It was from yesterday. The same person is asking again about the earth chakras. And you told me to ask you today. So they just reminded me.
Oh.
I am asking you now.
First of all, I don't play with earth chakras. I have been given a lot of information about the meridian lines. I've heard, and people say, oh, this is going to be the crown chakra and this is this chakra. I don't buy into all that. I don't need to buy into that. It's not my job. And so I don't play with it all. I just trust that what I do goes out, and I've been shown the meridian veins around the planet. I just send this love and light out into the planet and let it go where it's needed and do what it's needed to do. Individually, we have chakras, and it's important that we take care of our own chakras, clean them, clear them, keep them zipping along, and it can happen in all kinds of easy ways. We can talk about that during one of the Thursday nights, or we can do a class on it if we'd like, but I don't play with earth chakras. I have not ever been guided to, so
Do you
I just bless them.
share your experience about the crystal in England? 'Cause that
No,
was
it's almost 4 hours. I think we wrap up. They have to tune in on Thursday night to get more stories from Heather Harder. People want to eat and they want to sleep. They want to experience 2021, not just stay on the phone. All right. Any other questions, comments? All right. So we're going to take and just collectively take the love that we are and literally send it out into the universe, through the earth, through the atmosphere, through all the places on earth where there is challenge, where there's struggle, where there's conflict, where there will be struggle and conflict. Again, this is going to be a year where the where it's almost going to be like people versus government. We're going to have the government trying to limit our free will. We're going to have people rising up to claim their free will. And we want to send love and light to all those places and prepare the way for them. Whether you participate or whether you just send love, do be active in the process. And then we send love to the collective consciousness and to especially all the spiritual helpers in the earth who will have guided us today and guide us all the time, are there when we ask for help. We just have to remember to ask. And with that, I know that you all have a wonderful 2021. And if not before, we'll meet you back on January 1, 2022, and it will get easier. But this year is what you make it. So make it easy, make it fun, make it creative, make it joyful. You are the master of your fate. Love and light.
I love that. And if you want to reach out, you're welcome to go to Stacie Harder, STACIE harder.com or heatherharder.com. You can PM me, you can email mom, and that's all there. But I just thank you so much for joining us and being who you are.
And I really would like you to get on our email mailing list, either sending it to me directly or going to the heatherharder.com website and opting in so that you're on our mailing list.
And someone on here wants to book a private with you. Do you want to do that right after? Or
just just have them email me afterwards and we'll set up a time.
Okay, so email is heather@heatherharder.com. I'm going to stop the live now, but if you want to go through that again, I can do that again. Got this. We got this together forever. All right, love you.
Thank you. Happy New Year. Thank
Happy
you.
New Year to you too. Let it be the best year ever.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Everyone.